everybody? How's everybody doing? All right. I have to get this over with because I have to do this now. It's pretty much how I'm working now. Got this shameless plug, and here it goes. Join us. Join us. Join us. All right. Shameless plug over with. How you doing, Adam?
I'm well, man. It's Friday night. I got the weekend to look forward to. I got tons of toys to open this weekend. Whether I'll have time to do that or not, it remains to be seen. But I'll get through some of them for sure.
You'll find out, right? It's one of those. Well, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't.
You know what? The boxes got delivered yesterday. We had family fun night at the elementary school last night, so I didn't get to open anything yesterday. I unpacked the boxes when I got home to sort of see what was in them. My goal for tomorrow is to sort of set them up and take a toy haul picture, because it's obligatory, I think, in 2023, especially if you have, a YouTube channel or Instagram or Facebook. You're not allowed to open your toys until you've taken pictures of them, sort of in a haul type scenario. So
you have to show everybody, this is mine.
There's protocol. There's protocol to toys now, exactly. As we're adults. It's not the same as, I don't just tear it off of the card back and away I go.
Well, as long as you don't use scissors like Ken, we're fine.
Man, he drives me crazy. He has a knife. That's the other thing. He has a knife. It's not that he's like unable to do it.
Oh, I know. I think it's just part of the parcel. It's kind of like his thing. So he has to do it. It's like obligatory. He has to make it really awkward. So you cringe. It's like, don't do that. You're gonna cut off your fingers.
The irony is that I use a gigantic knife to open like retro carded things. I use a gigantic knife to get it like flat on
the whole back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to say hi to the chat real quick. See who's here. Hey, Cobb. Miss Allison is here. John at Figuratively Speaking is here. Lawrence has showed up. Eldor is in the chat. And is that everybody? Nope. There is Nolan saying hi. Mr. Nolan, who's everywhere like I used to be. I still am somewhat, except on Fridays from 8:30 to whatever.
I invited all of my friends, but neither of them could make it. So.
Okay. Do you say neither of them?
Yes.
As in two? It's all right. Action Figs is here. Thanos Copter is here. Oh, Mr. Wonderful is here. And there's Ted. Hey, Ted. There's Brick. Brick has joined us. We're all in trouble now. There's Chris from Shiny Plastic People. Everybody's saying in talking. No questions so far. Good. All right. Well, this has kind of become a thing. So I'm going to share a screen. And hang on. Oops. That's not what I want. I want this. And where is it? Oh, there it is. What are you? Who are you? Fake Myers-Briggs, geek nerd dork. Here we go. Let me get back to it. It's always funny because you never see anybody have to do all this stuff, but I'm sitting here having to do all this stuff, and it's weird.
Man, I have to do all that stuff. I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right. So where do you think you fit here? All right. So are we just the high IQ with an obsession? So we're just the geek? Or do we qualify as the nerd?
I think I'm right there in the middle.
You're in the nerd category too? Okay. All right.
I think, I mean, the intersection is just, it's different, on any given day with any given interaction, depending on the person that I'm talking to, right? Like it's, depending on the conversation.
Stalker, we're good, right? As long as we stay on the
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. There's probably been times where I've been closer to that.
Well, at least the the first problem, first way to deal with a problem is admitting you have one. So we're good. Apparently,
Oh, absolutely.
Either Brick is having a stroke and we need to call help for him because I'm not sure where he's going there. All right.
I'm sort of IQ wise, at least I like to think that I've got that sort of on lock. Socially awkward, definitely got a big component of that, and then obsession is an understatement when it comes to sort of how I interact with things that I enjoy.
Well, it is. I think it's different, isn't it? I mean, we all kind of have this. The thing is when he's making the joke, he's kind of saying that we have to have kind of this obsession with something in order for us to kind of move from being socially awkward with high IQs. So we go from being a dork to being a nerd because we have something that we can talk about and obsess about in a way that's positive and that works. And apparently Ted is finding that the fact that this chart says that stalkers have low IQs to be offensive. Well, only if you're a stalker, I'm just saying. Okay. So one of the things that I kind of define this with everybody so far, and I don't see any reason why not to do it with you. Play state. It's a state of mind when you're absorbed in an activity that provides enjoyment and a suspension of a sense of time. You're not wrapped up. You don't even pay attention to anything else. In psychology, we would call this flow. Mm-hmm. When was the last time that you played?
Probably Monday evening when I was unboxing SH Figure Arts figures.
Okay.
There was definitely an element of it probably last night when I was at the elementary school family fun night. I find that as I've gotten back into actual toys and as I'm interacting with my kids, I've found it easier and easier day after day to kind of get into that mode in a way. It's one of those things where I kind of got back into toys to sort of have a connection to my kids. I wanted to know what toys were out there, and then that just
snowballed.
And that's where the obsession comes in.
Well,
I was like, oh, these toys for children are kind of cool. And then you look at, well, what's further down the aisle or what's in the next aisle at Toys R Us up here in Canada. And I've said this before, that like I was kind of I kind of moved away from toys. I still had a bunch, but when my wife was pregnant with our first child, who is now 7, so about 8 years ago, through no fault of my own, I was in Toys R Us. And
so there's no responsibility there.
I take no accountability for being there in the first place. Now that's changed. That's since changed. I take full accountability for going there now without my children. But just seeing the toys that existed, was a bit of a revelation to me because I collected. I didn't collect toys as a kid. As a kid, I had toys and I played with toys. And I always wanted more. But I wasn't like, I didn't have a checklist. I wasn't like, I need this one and this one and this one. Oh, there's a variant of this. Or like, oh, this one has a different paint deco that, is only available in a one batch or whatever, like I didn't have those kind of things. But yeah, going back into Toys R Us, shopping for, strollers and onesies and soothers, I was like, man, Lego is bonkers now. Mm-hmm. And then, Marvel Legends was out by then too. Like the Hasbro Marvel Legends was out by then. And I was like, man, these X-Men figures look incredible compared to like 5 POA or 7 POA ones that I was getting from Toy Biz when I was, 12 years old or whatever it was. And And so I just sort of bought toys thinking I'll just buy a couple here and there. And now it's like a full blown thing. And now it's, and now it's
Is
like,
that what you call
buying,
it?
yeah, I mean, it's, I wouldn't say it's an obsession because I know that obsession is a very, no, but I mean, I just mean clinically speaking, if you'll allow me to be the doctor for a moment.
Okay.
Clinically speaking, I mean, obsession is like a serious thing, and I genuinely like I could walk away from all of this if there was a reason that I needed to, right? So I use that term somewhat facetiously because I don't need any of this stuff. I've said that a million times. I don't need any of this stuff. I just really want all of this stuff. So
yeah, it's one of those. It's the conundrum, isn't it? You don't need it, but you want it.
Yeah. What was the question?
Yeah, we covered that question well now.
Okay.
But you kind of intimated about something about the way you played as a child. So, what were your favorite ways to play? Did you have to have everybody separate? Did you just mix and mash? What was your preferred play methods?
I was and still am very introverted. As a kid, I really enjoyed my time with my toys, and inside, outside. Sometimes I would mix lines. Other times I wouldn't. Lego was a big one for me, partly because I would build like ships or play sets or whatever for action figures and stuff like that. That was more inside. Outside it would be, sandbox or garden or whatever. But I was always a hands-on toy kid. It was always it was also always toy first. I think a lot of times we hear about people that are like, yeah, I loved, this cartoon or this comic book as a kid, and so I had to have the action figures. I was the opposite. Like I would find a new line at the store, and then I'd be like, is there a cartoon that goes with this, or is there a comic? Like, where does this come from? I'd buy the toys first.
Yeah, I think a lot of us that my age anyway, in the 80s, that was kind of how it was. The toys were out before the cartoons were.
Mm-hmm.
Now, nowadays, it's more like there's a synergy. The toy has to hit at the same time the show hits, because if it doesn't, that toy line is going to go, the way of the dodo. So, in thinking about your playing as a child, how did that make you feel? What was your, you said you were introverted, but what were the feelings that were kind of associated with play?
How did I feel 35 years ago? I honestly can't remember. I just remember that was sort of what I did. That was just, that was what I wanted to do. That was, I think it was, it was the same for any kid, right? It was fun. I just wanted to sort of create stories and play and have the characters interact, the figures interact. Headcanon was a big thing then, even though I wasn't sort of thinking of it as headcanon. Because I doubt that term existed.
I don't know that we all thought of that term, but we kind of had this feeling that, we did it the way we wanted to do it in our head, because, especially like that first, Masters of the Universe grouping that I got, there was no cartoon. There was no comic. You got the mini comics. That was it. So everything else was in your head. You had to make it work.
Yep.
And if you couldn't, it would be really, really boring.
It's interesting too, because just kind of being, in Canada, the TV wasn't always the same as what was on, in the United States. I think we got, depending on the channel, right, you'd get different things. So I was actually born in northern BC, and I don't even know if there was local television there. It was like national networks kind of doing stuff. And to the best of my knowledge, and I I could probably reach out to somebody that lives where I sort of was born and spent my first few years, but I don't, I think G.I. Joe was Monday to Friday in
Might have been, but
for a lot of people.
the miniseries were that way. I believe most of the actual series were Monday through Friday, at least for me.
Okay.
Now, I think everywhere else it was different. Everybody had different things. I mean, it was kind of one of those things that they were filling days, but it wasn't one of the ones that was like Saturday exclusively. Those were more like,
I think it
like
was for
Thundar the Barbarian and
yeah.
just
There's that was the thing for me. Weekend Saturday morning cartoons, right? Like, and that's I keep my kids love cartoons and they watch a lot of cartoons, and that's probably partly my fault. But it's so different now because like I would get up at like 6 a.m. and watch cartoons till 9 when they were like done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'd have to wait till next Saturday.
Yeah. It was
kids have it so easy these days.
They do. I mean, it's on-demand cartoons. What more could you ask for?
But that was the thing, right? That I would watch cartoons on Saturday, and that would sort of inform my week of play, probably. Right? I would spend the rest of the week, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, mornings before school, afternoons after school, playing with toys. It wasn't until till I was in like grade 6 or 7, I think, that like afternoon cartoons were really a thing.
Mm-hmm.
After school cartoons. So yeah, I mean, my play was me kind of reenacting or reimagining or sort of playing out my idea of a Saturday morning cartoon. It was it seems sort of somewhat dismissive, I guess, but it was just to pass the time.
Yeah.
It was
if you're
a great way to pass the time.
What else are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
You got to feel something. Apparently, Brick thinks that orcs should be firing human skulls off pirate ships.
Fair enough. Jeremy,
whatever works for him, right?
Jeremy makes a point in a comment there too. The headcanon comment that he made there. You want to pull that one up?
Fan fiction? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But here's my argument. When people are like, "Oh, I don't like what they did with this IP," all canon is somebody's headcanon.
Yep.
So if you don't like their headcanon, too bad. You're not in charge.
I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's an opinion.
Yep.
And here's the thing. Here's where we're gonna get into something. Okay. We all have a right to our opinion, right?
This early, eh?
Whether it's popular or not. And the internet and social media, they've kind of given us this soapbox where we get to stand on. And here's my thing. The negativity that's just piling out there. It's like that toxic negativity. It's to the point where it's smothering in some areas. It's one of the reasons that I stay away from certain places and certain things, and why I unsubscribe from things and walk away. I don't have
dark alleys,
the energy to put up with that. I have enough crap in my life. I don't need it with my toys. So a lot of that, though, the moaning and the complaining, it seems to be negativity for negativity's sake. So I know you've kind of broached that subject before, at least the negativity for negativity's sake, and then you kind of talked about it on a show, the chat on a Sunday, that you were basically telling people, if you don't like the price, you don't like this, don't buy it. It's a very simple solution, right?
I wasn't telling people to anything.
I know, but you get my point. But it's a really simple solution when you don't like how something works, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, you're baiting me here. So, but I'll let you continue.
But I'm just saying, overall, that complaining for complaining's sake, yeah, it gets a lot of clicks, and And yeah, it gets a lot of engagement, but at the end of the day, what does it leave you with? I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I'm doing something different here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to bitch just to bitch. I got better things to do with my time. Yeah, I'm going to call something out when it's wrong. I'm going to say, yeah, this isn't great. I don't like it. And then I'm moving on from it. I'm not going to spend constant energy. It's to me, that's frustrating and ultimately makes what should be happy unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I know you kind of had that feeling too. Is what I kind of got from that show. Is that you were? It should be. This should be fun.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
If it's not fun, why the hell are we doing it?
Are you asking me that? Because I genuinely.
I'm just saying in general. I'm just saying if it's not fun, why are we not? Why are they continuing to do it?
Everybody's going to do things for different reasons. So I can't. I certainly would never presume to know why somebody is doing something. Motivation is a funny thing, and sort of when you're motivated to do something, what outcome is the best case scenario, I guess, is sort of my sort of perspective on it, at least my opinion on it, is that if I'm going to engage with other toy collectors and other people that sort of enjoy the things that I like, I'm going to choose to enjoy, or I'm going to choose to engage with the ones that enjoy what they're doing because I enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I didn't get back into toys to get bummed out,
to get that. It's like a negative dopamine carousel. I mean, it's doing this in your head, and to me,
I think there's. It's the idea of the car wreck, right? People can't look away from the car wreck, and I mean, there's an element of human nature in that, and I think that we're all kind of predisposed to that.
We are,
and
biologically speaking, unfortunately, yes, our brains are hardwired to manage suffering.
When somebody has a Facebook feed or an Instagram feed that's like nothing but rainbows and kittens and puppies, I'm like, man, you are the most wholesome person, because like if you just
faith in humanity restored for 5 seconds, right?
I mean, look, I am I'm generally very positive and very sort of upbeat, and I'm happy to speak on the good points and just sort of leave the negative ones aside. But I'm human. There's days where there are days where I go, I see a Facebook post and I'm like, I gotta do it. I gotta respond to this comment. I gotta get into it.
There are times when you have to. There's a have to and there's a don't have to.
No, there isn't. This is have to, like I need toys, right? We use have to and need incorrectly in these situations, because I really don't need to interact with anybody on Facebook.
But aren't you a moderator on a Facebook group and you kind of have to?
Yes. Okay. Yes. I'll concede that there are. But in those cases, I mean, very often in those cases, I'll message somebody and I'll be like, "Hey, I'm gonna shut off comments," or I got to pull the post because it's just not.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that unapologetically, more or less all of the Facebook groups that I'm an admin in or a moderator in, there's an aspect of sort of curator at work, because I don't want to be an admin in a negative group, and that's kind of part of why I'm the admin in a few of the groups, is because I saw groups that were just so disgusting and just such cesspools of negativity.
It's one of the reasons that I kind of stay away from Facebook. I mean,
and I mean, I wanted there to be an oasis for the people that aren't interested in that. You know, that like I wanted there to be another option. I wanted there to be like the possibility to just enjoy stuff.
I'm not saying it has to be rainbows, butterflies, unicorns flying out of our
why
butt
can't
today,
it be?
but realistically, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm okay with it being. I'm okay with critique.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with criticism when it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
When it becomes chronic and it's repeatable and you're continuing to do this same thing and harp on it like it's, you know, everything is ending and the apocalypse has begun and the dark clouds are looming over everybody. And then it's just, I don't get it. At that point, I'm checking out. My brain is gone. It's just like, I'm not going to engage.
Yeah.
It's subscribe and see you later.
What's the quote from The Crow? It can't rain every day, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of those groups are pretty rainy pretty often, but you're complaining about toys. And I know that there's going to be people that don't agree, right? There's people that don't agree with my opinion that think like if you give a brand a pass, you know, they'll just keep giving you subpar stuff. And I'm like, I don't think this stuff is subpar. I think this stuff is pretty good for what it is.
Here's the thing.
I think we're looking through it as
enjoy it and it's yours. And you're willing to put your money for it. Who the hell cares what anybody else thinks? I'm just going to put that out there in the world because that's how I am.
That's how I am too.
Will I buy something begrudgingly because it's the only way that I can get it, but I want it? Then I might be a little grumpy about it, but I'm still going to do it.
What have you bought though that fits that criteria? Because I think about that too. Like, is there something that I have in my collection? Monkeyin? Yeah, but that's a great figure.
But I don't like the articulation, and I don't like the plastic.
Compared to what? The 1980s one?
Unless I want to go back and get the LJN ones, and I don't.
That's what I'm saying, though.
So, I mean, I would get the Bandai ones, but Bandai only made like 3 of the classics, and then they just stopped making them because they didn't want to do competing toy lines.
But that's what the Monkeyin is the Bandai.
No, I'm just saying this line, this particular line. I'm only getting the Mutants, Mum-Ra, and the Thundercats, the basic Thundercats, including Wily Kit and Wily Cat. After that, I'm done.
That's where, that's Thundercats is a line that's like the next. Man, I hate it. I hate that line. So that's a good example because I love those figures, but I think they could be better. I'm there with you. Like I get it, but I mean it's the best. It's the best version of Thundercats that we're gonna get.
Yeah, it's the best option we have right now, right?
Yeah.
Until Warner Brothers decides that, hey, I want to do somebody else to do the license.
And they won't because it's not.
It depends on how much money they're going to make from it. At the end of the day, if they're not going to make any extra money, they're not going to do it. They're not going to move it anywhere.
Yeah.
Stick with what they got in licensing. But again, this is one of those where you're stuck with this option that it's not great.
Yeah.
It's not where it could be.
Yeah.
But it's okay. But I also am after seeing Emil Wickman's posts lately, I'm really, really damn tempted to start doing some customs on Mythic Legions to make them Thundercats.
Although the articulation wouldn't be that much better.
No, but the sculpting would be.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that's where it's sort of like interesting for me because I'm the same way with I'm the same way with everything, right? Whether it's movies or TV or comic books or toys. What is offered to me is what is offered to me, right? Yeah. I don't look at a Super 7 Thundercats figure and be like, look at what Jason's doing with AWOC. Why can't you just do that? Because they're not the same thing. Like it's, we have this tendency and it's not, it's not anybody's fault. This is just the way that we are. we take one figure that we have in our collection, we compare it to another one, and we go, the articulation isn't as good, or the paint apps aren't as good, or the price point isn't what I want it to be. But you can't have it all. That's just not how it works. And Super 7 is an interesting one because I think there's an element. When I think of Super 7, I also think of, like a brand like Supreme, right? Where totally outside the toy sphere, although they are involved, in some like limited production run, blah, blah, blah toys that people go bonkers over and spend hundreds of dollars on. I think Super 7's model is a little bit different, and I think they came to toys in a different way than a lot of companies did. And I can appreciate that for what it is, which is not to say that I don't think Super 7 action figures should be $15 less expensive than they are, but they kind of come to it from that collector's side, that kind of limited production side, that we're making it because nobody else is side. So it's.
But is it limited? Because now they're showing up like
they make tons
showing
of
up in retail. So if the Ultimates are showing up in regular retail, they're no longer limited because you're looking at higher numbers than $55 figures are worth.
Look, my title.
I can't imagine what they are in Canada. I don't know, 75.
My title down there, Kidult Shill. Not both of those don't apply to Super 7. Kidult applies, Shill does not. I think they could manufacture those for less than what they're selling them at. Don't get me wrong. It's.
This is the only Super 7 I get. This is once I'm done with these last. I've got Slythe to get, and then I've got Wily Kit and Wily Cat. I'm done. So,
I'm doing the Super 7 Ultimates Ninja Turtles. I have I have a list. Like before I bought my first one, I had a list of the ones that I was willing to pay that price for.
Yeah.
And if they're not on that list, I'm not paying that price for them. That being said, when something goes on sale for like 35 Canadian, which I think is like $25 US, shipped to my house.
At that point, it's worth it, right? Because then the value is there.
He's in a value is there.
A $25 figure for that. Yeah, it's a value there. This was $44, so this was $10.
That's still decent.
So it's not horrible, but it wasn't. The new ones are like 55 US. So
yeah,
I can't. I cringe a little bit, but I know if I wait long enough, they'll just show up on somebody else's discounts or clearance aisle, and I'll just get it then. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, Slythe would be the only one that I would have to pay a premium for now. And quite frankly, everybody hated him when he came out. So I don't understand.
Wait it out. It'll come up.
Oh, they'll come out. They'll do the LJN inspired one, which will be the right colors for me. So
I was gonna say they'll do the LJN one, or you could buy one of those like Army Builder ones where they did like a slightly different color, and then at least you got a stand-in, right? That's
customized, yeah.
Super 7 is again like a kind of a funny one. Like another line that I do is the SH Figure Arts Dragon Ball stuff, because there isn't a better line out there.
Oh, there's not. Nobody else does. Well, that Band Presto stuff is, or is Band Presto, isn't it? What is it?
Well, there's other. You can get statues, or you can get like. There's another Bandai line called the Dragon Stars, I think.
That's what I get from my son. He likes those. I mean, but he doesn't need the $170 cooler.
He doesn't need 87 points of articulation.
Yeah.
It's once you get some good toys, you're spoiled. That's the problem for me. Is that like it's like I've had a Dragon Stars in hand, and it's like but I also have a Figure Arts in hand, and.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one is a budget line and one is not. So, I mean, they drop some of the articulation to give you the figure, but for him, it's just about having that character. So,
yeah,
if it's just about having that character, if I'm going to spend $30 on it versus $80, I'm going to buy the $30 one just for him.
With the Figure Art stuff, that's still the one line that I take my time with my orders. Day one orders don't happen. It's like I'll wait till all the stores get it. I'll figure out which store is going to be a few bucks cheaper. I'll wait and sort of see if, is this a popular one? Are people going to buy multiples and then have too many because it's not popular after the fact?
Yeah.
But every once in a while they also do a price point one where they're 30 or $40.
Yeah. I think I think it was a Piccolo.
Yeah, he was. He was.
It was nice.
He was 50. I got this Gohan recently.
Yeah.
Was again like for me 50. So I think $40.
Yeah, probably.
Now I also bought the Gammas to get the extra parts, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah. Those two. Those were a bit pricey.
I got them through a Japanese website, and then my Japanese friend, good friend of mine, one of my two friends, he went back home recently, and I was like, hey, can I just have a box shipped to your parents' house? And he's like, yeah, what? I was like, hey, can I get the action figures shipped to your parents' house? Can you bring them home for me? So I didn't get, I think it cost me like 1,200 yen to ship it to his parents' house, and then he just brought it over, so there's no duties or taxes or anything like that. So it made them palatable. Affordable, strong word.
Anytime I'm really tempted to buy a Mayfix, I make sure that I try to figure out when it's going to go on pre-order.
I got one of those too.
And just order it from Ami, and then I can, they're 55 roughly US plus 20 to 25 shipping. That's still better than 105 to 120, depending on what it is. The Spider-Man. It's a good one.
That's the first and only one that I've ever got, Mafex.
I have the Nightfall Batman, which is Azrael.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of those ones. I was trying to find the McFarlane one for $20, but apparently around here they went like right to the peg and right to clearance. So I think somebody here was doing that intentionally. One of probably the people that work there was intentionally dropping the price so that they could pick it up and go and sell it on the internet for $80 because that's what they were going for at eBay. And now they're over 100. I was like, if I'm going to spend 100, I'm not going to get a $100 McFarlane figure. That's not going to happen. I will buy a $100 Mayfix before I buy that. I'm not stupid here.
So
people out there that will, if they're completists.
Yeah. Canadian collector in a small town. Shout out to Nolan in the chat who said he was born in Kelowna. I'm literally sitting in Kelowna right now. Now I want to know where he lives now. But Kelowna is not, believe it or not, a hub for toy collecting. Anything that I buy is going to have to be shipped to me. Or I'm going to spend like a ridiculous amount of time hunting for it. The good thing is, being a relatively small town still, I figured out sort of toy, like the stores like shipping and sort of stocking habits. So if I want something that's like a Walmart exclusive or Toys R Us exclusive or whatever, I haven't had any issue getting them because I'm not competing with people that are just clearing shelves.
Yeah.
Or so far I haven't been, at least, but yeah, I mean, I get what you mean. Like when I look at a figure, so like when I look at a Japanese website to buy a figure and have it shipped, it's like cheaper than buying, the lower priced one from somewhere in the US because the shipping and the duties and on and on and on, it just adds up. And it's the same thing as that Batman, right? Like where, and Spider-Man's a good example of that too, because like I don't collect a lot of Spider-Man, but he's Spider-Man, he's one of the very few toys that I still have from like my childhood collection, the Toy Biz highly articulated one, which was like blew my mind.
Was that the Spider-Man line that they were running right before they did the first set of Toy Biz Legends?
No. This is the one. Let me grab him so that I can show you. Because he's close by.
All right, while you're doing that, I'll
be back in 37 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm already back.
Basil said hi. He's here visiting us. And I know I saw Phil in here, and I know Jeremy's here because we've highlighted him somewhere.
He's gone. He got a comment read. He's gone.
There's Nolan. He's roughly 30 minutes north of Saskatoon.
Out in Saskatchewan, Canada.
So,
unfortunately.
Yeah. No. Ooh, okay.
So this was like, I mean, in my head, this is like the most articulation that an action figure was ever going to get, right? When it had, you know, his hip was on a ball joint, knee articulation, ankle articulation, not a ball joint on the ankle, right? Like none of this is ball joint except for the hip. He had rocker, like chest articulation.
Ab crunch, yeah.
Ab crunch, yeah, that's the word for it. I do unboxings of figures. I know the words for these. But this was this blew my mind.
Yeah.
And this is one of the few that I sort of have from my childhood. I've got, you know, this guy, a couple Transformers. I got my Lion-O. I got a couple G.I. Joes. But because I have this one, I sort of had, like, I have a couple Marvel Legends ones. I have the Mafex one. Like I'll buy a Spider-Man to sort of fit into this, you know?
Yeah. To fill that void.
No, it's not a void.
Fill that childhood void. It's a childhood void because that's
not overcoming a trauma or anything like that with these. Like it's not. But it's joy. It's fun.
After you play with MFX, you probably won't need another Spider-Man.
Well, that's what I kept hearing. For the last, you know, when did that first one come out? Almost 2 years ago. Everybody was like, "This is the Spider-Man," and I was like, "Yeah, but it's expensive." But then this one came up on a Japanese site, and I think I paid. I don't know what the exchange is, but I think I paid like 47 US because it was like 50 something Canadian.
It's a little less expensive overall.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I'll get it for that price. And basically, I want to compare this one to like the Marvel Legends one and this one.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably keep, you know, one and get rid of the rest because I just want one really posable Spider-Man. And I'll be honest.
You'll love the stand with it because the stands are really good too.
Well, I'll be honest. The Marvel Legends like first appearance Spider-Man and the Renew Your Vows ones, the ones that came out like I think in 2022, they're phenomenal.
Yeah,
and if this is better than that, I'm going to be shocked because I think those things are pretty great.
The only thing, joints.
The only thing is the head articulation. I would love to have Spider-Man that can look kind of straight up because I think if you get him in that really crouched pose, you need to get him.
Once you pop that one open, you'll be surprised.
That's what I'm saying. Stay tuned. I'm probably going to open it on a video.
Yeah, you'll be
surprised there.
So, you kind of briefly mentioned your childhood lines. What kind of what toy lines were you playing with or collecting as a kid?
Lego. For like that was and sort of still is one that I absolutely love. G.I. Joe was the other really big one. As far as like, you know, by volume, G.I. Joe was probably the biggest one. Okay. And then I was, you know, because it was toy first and sort of media second, then it was like whatever was cool at the Toys and Wheels, which was the toy store in the mall. And I'd be in there looking at like cool new lines. But I mean, like other stuff, like Ninja Turtles was a big one. Never really a Motu guy, never really a Transformers guy, but had, you know, a few of each.
Yeah.
Probably down to like people bought them for me. And I without me asking kind of thing. A few Thundercats. But then there was like weird stuff too. You know, I remember figures that I didn't really know what they were until like later on. There was one called Bots Masters. which was like such a 90s thing. It had a cartoon that had 3D element to the cartoon. And you could get, I think the glasses came with the figures. And it was like a really, really rudimentary 3D where there's basically just two things overlaid. Turns out if you had one sunglass lens on, you could get the 3D effect. It was that rudimentary.
Yeah. It's the old red and blue lens kind of thing.
Yeah, it was 100%. Yeah, the red and blue lens. But like I said, because it was on TV, you didn't even need red and blue. It was like it still worked. It's on YouTube. You can look up Bots Masters episode 1, and it's on there. I'm pretty sure because no one cares about it. No one's willing to pay to put it on.
Yeah, no one's copyrighting that one. Copyright strike.
Whoever owns the licensing is like, do I own that? I'm not sure what to do with that. But I got into some anime stuff pretty young too, like when I was still in elementary school, which is I don't know because I wasn't paying attention, ahead of like when Toonami was doing it. So Dragon Ball was one that I got into when like Dragon Ball Z was on TV in Japan. A friend of mine, not the Japanese friend of mine that went back home, but another Japanese friend of mine would get VHS tapes from Japan. And he couldn't speak Japanese. He was like, third generation Japanese or whatever. But, they would get these tapes sent to them. And we would just sit and watch Dragon Ball Z. I watched like the whole Frieza saga with no idea what was going on.
Yeah, no, I can't stand the Goku voice actor. And I like subtitled, but I cannot stand the voice actor. He makes my ears hurt. It's like burning. It's like.
But we didn't have subtitles.
I know, but bleeding out my ears.
It was you either get that voice or you get nothing. And we didn't know. Every once in a while, like every couple episodes, we'd get his mom to like pop in and be like, "Can you explain?" Like when they do. So if anybody doesn't know Dragon Ball, they basically, and whether it's Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super, they're all the same. The first 3 minutes is a recap of what happened in the last episode or sort of within the story arc. So we would make her watch that clip and then like explain it to us and like catch us up every 3 or 4 episodes. So we would we'd go 2 hours
without knowing what's going on,
without knowing what was going on. And then she'd be like, yeah, nothing's happened. And we'd be like, great. 2 more hours. Bring it on.
I did there was definitely a nice time in the like late 80s, early 90s when you started finding those VHSs of those anime movies. I mean, there was a bunch. Vampire Hunter D, a bunch of the Macross Saga stuff, all of those. And that was my jam for a long time.
There was Kelowna's weird because it's a small town, but there's a lot of people with a lot of money. And so there was a video store in Kelowna that was owned by a group of doctors. And the reason that a group of doctors owned a video store in Kelowna is so that they could employ their children. And so their children, who were older than me, would just be into weird stuff. And it was like the coolest video store. And they had an anime section that I'm not kidding is like, it was like bigger than any anime section I've seen since. Yeah. And this is in, the early 90s. So before this was a thing, or at least in my estimation.
I think it was. I think it got bigger when Toonami was focusing on it. But for me, that had been, Robotech, Voltron, big robot guy. I can't even think of his name right now. Horns. Oh my gosh, this is what happens. You get old and the brain just stops working.
That's the thing. I was presented with this video section. Like I watched Dragon Ball and then I was presented with this video section. So I don't know what was cool. I just would grab my dad. My dad was cool enough that he was into like classic movies, and so that was the place to go and rent classic movies because they weren't on TV.
Thank you, Bill. What's that? Bill got me.
Guy King?
Geikie.
I've never heard of that. It's got to have a westernized. There's got to be a western.
Yeah, there is. But yeah, no, there was a that was my childhood. I found weird esoteric cartoons for whatever damn reason.
There was one, yeah. There was one that I watched all the time because I found it fascinating, and this is not going to surprise anybody because one of the characters is a giant um, tiger person kind of thing. It was called Ushio Totora, which is Ushio and the tiger, and it was like it would never have been popular. But for whatever reason, they had these VHS tapes of it, and stuff like Ninja Scroll and Fist of the North Star, like
Oh yeah,
before adults realized that anime
it
wasn't
was
just
not for kids.
cartoons.
Yeah. They were for kids.
But
Yeah.
that being said, as a young child, I also remember watching Tour of Duty. I, I I don't know that my parents realized what I watched as a kid. I don't think they cared either. But that's
Probably not. So, but no, I think there's a lot of that. It's that kind of influenced. You can see where it kind of started to influence art in
Mhm.
comics. You saw, there was a period there where like mid '90s, especially with Joe Mad and Roger
Oh yeah.
Cruz and those guys, where the style was that was the style that a lot of comics wanted to go to.
Mhm.
Or the other end of the spectrum with Kelly Jones's on Batman, where it was like dark and moody and weirdly unique. Chris Bacalo. Sorry, I'm probably butchering the guy that you like for Doctor Strange.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that was the other thing too. Like, um, my toy preferences, like I said, when I was a young kid, were toy first, and then it was really when I was in high school and started getting into comic books. That's when I started seeing things in comic books that I was like, I want a toy of this. Like, I want a physical representation
Yeah, you wanted
of
something you could play with
Wentworth.
it. Reminded you of that.
Yeah, and
You
it
wanted
was.
that. You wanted that childlike enjoyment from your. See how that works.
Oh
See,
yeah,
you remember the joy because that's why you wanted the toy. You wanted the
I
toy.
know. Yeah, and I mean that's again, getting back to the sort of the joy versus l- lack of joy in toy collecting. Um, it's what I'm aspiring to is that sort of that innocence of just like the fun of things and just like this looks cool. I want to play with it, and but it also, I guess, looking at this and thinking it was the peak of articulation and that we would never get anything better. This is like Super 7 level articulation. So,
Actually, that might be a little bit lower than Super 7. Not by much, but it's there.
but what I'm saying is, like, you know, we
Well,
keep
as
raising the
things
bar and
move
it kind of.
along, yeah, the bar gets raised, right, with each iteration and each generation.
Mhm.
Right now, we're looking at things where highly detailed, highly articulated, and based, hopefully, on characters that we have some type of nostalgic connection to, or thematically is connected nostalgically. Like
Mhm.
that's where kind of AWOC is for me, is it's thematically tied to it, but it kind of touches on, I, it touches on a few areas that you don't think, if you don't have the comics, you wouldn't know that.
Mhm.
So it's one of
Um,
those
just
unique
shout out to Jeremy. I just looked down and this is the one comment that I saw. Jeremy says, "I'm an expert. Lack of joy,
debate.
debate."
Don't worry, Jeremy. I'll bring you on at some point. We'll have a talk about lack of
He's
joy.
not. Jeremy feigns being somebody that's always negative, but he is
I know he does.
absolutely not. He's so full of it and he knows it. He's got this persona where he tries to be so cool.
It's okay. We'll break that. So now your collection.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your collection. I'm gonna give me a second to get to the place where I need to get here. All right. I am going to share the pictures that you sent me, and we're gonna talk about your collection because It's interesting.
I just remembered one of the photos that I sent you that probably kind of sent you on a bit of a loop. But anyway,
It's okay. I caught it, and I'm happy that you put it there because it kind of does kind of bring other things around. Okay, so here's your Lego. So I'm assuming those Lego X-Wings are there for a reason. Those are Lego, right? At least it looks well.
Those are Lego. They're all officially branded Lego products. Brick. Yeah, that's so like on that section. That's when we built this house. In the plans actually said Lego room. So there was a time when this whole room, all these shelves were filled with Lego, and that's what sort of remains once the action figures kind of took over. I got the X-Wings up top there. I've got the Millennium Falcon and some other things on the bottom of that shelf.
This is the last stand of the Lego. Is that what you're saying?
You know, anybody that collects Lego can kind of sympathize with the fact that Lego is really bad for displaying.
Oh, yeah, no, it's awful.
Unless you build some sort of stand, or unless you kind of like have like you're highlighting parts of your collection, a lot of it is really flat. You know, part of the reason, and I know that a lot of the 118 kind of 3 3/4 inch guys absolutely love that scale for world building, but 6-inch scale for display and play and articulation and posing is just it. I mean, you can't really beat it until you get to like 1/6 scale, and then you're talking about display pieces, not toys. So that's a whole other kind of thing.
But this next shelf is kind of like it's very eclectic.
The shelf below the X-Wings?
Yeah, below the Legos, you got like
that's my childhood
Thundercats mixed with Fantastic Four and Avengers and Defenders. And it's thematically different.
That's my childhood on a shelf.
Oh, okay. And now that makes sense. I was wondering what the thematic theme was there, because it does seem like
it's that shelf is heavily curated for that reason. Yeah, that's the shelf of like kind of all the characters that I feel like I grew up with, you know?
Okay. So this is your touchstones.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, that's the sort of iconic characters. You'll notice that there's no DC on there. I was never a really big DC guy, but
it's all right. And I'm assuming that's a K2SO.
That is, yes.
That's there. Yeah. We can't see 100%, but you know.
Yeah, those were pictures that I snapped really quickly because you asked for them.
Horseshoes and hand grenades kind of got there. All right, this one is a little more robust. You kind of got a little bit of everything. You got Ninja Turtle, the balloon up here. You got some Joe carded. I'm assuming that's 25th anniversary stuff, and that's Pursuit of Cobra.
Yep.
Is that the most recent Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow?
Yes. The O-ring release.
That's obviously 000 and 1, right? And I know you're a big Snake Eyes fan, but
that's apart from that Storm Shadow, that's all Snake Eyes on that shelf.
Okay. All right. So then we got some little bit of everything. Super 7 Disney.
That's a work in progress shelf. I don't know what's going to go on there. So that's the
got a Gundam model. It's kind of I can't figure out what that's your Snake Eyes, your Super 7 Snake Eyes. What is next to him?
That's I don't even know who made it. That's a Monkey King that was from
okay, because I was like, I don't know what that toy is.
That was a $5 GameStop $5 Friday pickup.
$5 Friday, yeah.
That I don't have any connection to whatsoever, apart from it's a monkey and it was $5.
Yeah, it's that clearance thing, right?
He'll end up
evil often.
That will end up in my 7-year-old's room for sure.
Does Brick want to tell me what the heck a Kinesa is? What is this? What am I missing?
Oh, is that in the picture? I didn't know if it was in the picture or not. I posted a picture of that. I picked that up in Hawaii.
Where am I at? Where am I going here?
It's hanging on the back of the door.
Okay, hang on. Oh, okay. This
Yeah. That's an Ewok from I don't even know what line
okay?
this
'Cause
is.
to me, it just looks like a strange animal. It doesn't necessarily look like an Ewok to me, but okay.
Yeah, I it was when I was in Hawaii this past year. That was on a shelf, a clearance shelf, and it was labeled at like $4. And I took it. I was like, well, for $4. And so I took it up, and they were like, oh no, this is $40. And I was like, well, you labeled it, not me. And so I got it for $4. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought it. But now I want to get there's a Wicket one of those apparently, and
Really
I would love to try to find the Wicket
interesting.
because it's
All
just
right.
cute.
So,
That's just a cute thing to have in my collection.
yeah. You got to have something cute every once in a while.
Look, I'm not opposed to cute things in my collection. That's the other thing is that like a lot of this, whether things are nostalgia based or just cool based, cute fits the bill for me. Which is why I have some Bluey stuff on that one shelf as well.
Nothing wrong with Bluey. All right, so this is a Star Wars and Transformers. I'm assuming those are the Super 7 Transformers. Then you got a whole
No, those are Hasbro,
Right?
the Netflix series ones.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking they were Super 7 ones.
I fell into that trap. I'm not even a Transformers guy, like I said, but when they did the Netflix ones that were like so close to G1, but they actually looked good, I was like, I bought a whole bunch of those.
Well, you have a G1 Optimus over here in
I
blue.
do, which is why
Right
I
next to
justified
that
buying
blue
that
right next
Optimus,
to
and that
Optimus.
was the gateway to buying about 20 or 30 of the Hasbro ones.
All right, so we got some Gundam models over here.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm assuming that's more Gundam models. And here's your vintage Joes. Or this all vintage, or is this 25th and 30th and 50th? No, just all vintage.
That's my display of vintage GI Joes. I have quite a lot more. I'm on the verge of kind of liquidating my vintage GI Joes. We can circle back to that if you want to, but if you want to go through the whole collection, then we'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
I'm on the verge of liquidating the GI Joes because the value to me, like what they're selling for versus like how I view toys don't mesh.
Well, and that's what we do as collectors, though. We decide that, hey, this doesn't fit anymore. Maybe we need to get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't fit, and you need to change up how it is, that's how we do it. Sometimes we do that. We do that to fund the next thing we're going to get.
Yeah,
I sold my vintage Star Wars, every single vintage Star Wars thing I had, and then mine were all in great condition.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold all of my figures, all of my cases. I had the Darth Vader case. I had the Star Wars vinyl case with the stickers still intact and the pack-ins. I had a boxed 12-inch Boba Fett complete. Now, the insert was gone, but I still had the pack-in for it. I had all the accessories, and the hands had been repaired. And I sold that, and I sold my Chewbacca, which was just the same as well. I had both boxes. I was a weird kid. What can I say? But I sold those, and I used that to fund my Marvel Legends collection.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with the vintage Joes. It's like they take up that shelf, but there's also I have a couple like bins of vintage Joes, and that's like of everything that will be in all of these pictures, right? That's the one thing that I'm like reluctant to let my kids play with because they'll fall apart. And if you can't play with a toy, what good is it? Feel free to, I know that's not it's a bit of a hot take for some people, but
well, no, it's at that point it becomes no longer a toy, it's a
collectible. Yeah. And
if
say this
toy
all the
is
time,
what
I'm not a
you want
collector.
you want the other end of the spectrum, right?
Yeah, I'm not a collector. I'm just somebody that has a lot of toys, and I just enjoy toys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your collection looks a lot like mine. There's a lot of eclectic. There's pieces that are there just be there kind of things. They're there because you have a touch point to them. And here's your figure arts. You got Broly and Looks like you have Frieza. I can't see all of them, but yeah, pretty good collection there. And you have a Shenron in the back. Is that the Figuarts Shenron and not a statue? Okay.
Yeah, I'm the dumb that shelled out for that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. That's cool. The Shenron and then you had the other one that was Dende and what was
the Namekian whatever it is. That one was like ridiculous.
that was a big chunky boy. And then you got some more Gundam models, and then underneath is your. I'm assuming these are to be put together models.
Yeah, that's my backlog of Gundam models.
You know what? I can't say anything. My backlog of openings is starting to look like bricks. Okay, this is an interesting one. This is you have what looks like
that picture is a bit of a flex, unapologetic flex.
Okay, so these are all I'm assuming like workups for what's coming.
Yeah, those are turnaround. Those are Animal Warriors of the Kingdom turnaround shots that Jeremy sent me. And then on that shelf, that one there, that's a Wave 2 Core Dune pre-production figure, as well as an Atreyu head.
I was wondering because it looked like it was a lot bigger.
No, it's not bigger. It's just it doesn't have the same deco, and it's the torso's not fused.
Maybe it was the base that made it look bigger.
And then that display is in progress, as you can see from the one that doesn't have.
And you have one that's empty currently. I'm assuming there's something going in there eventually.
So what happened was, this is a really good problem to have. I have more turnaround shots than I have frames, and I couldn't decide which one to put in that frame.
Uh-oh. So it's an analysis paralysis thing.
Yeah. I've got I think there's about
now we have homework for Adam. Adam needs to pick one to put in there.
Well, it's kind of narrowed down to a couple, but I may get more turnaround shots, and if I get more, then it's going to be even harder. But
shouldn't be that hard to change out, though.
No, they're super easy to change out, so that's the good news.
Okay, now this is confusing me here.
Oh, that shelf is okay. So here's what I'll tell you about my collection too: is that what's behind me is my professional content creator shelf. It looks nice. Everything else is rotating. Everything else gets changed all the time. That's a window that I've covered up so that I could put things there so that they didn't get UV light hitting them. Yeah. But that's just that's a bunch of stuff that's just shoved up on that shelf.
Okay, because I was wondering, it was like there's a Buzz Lightyear Lego next to a Turtle Van next to I don't know, like
that's the Dungeons and Dragons figure that Hasbro posted a while ago.
Okay, and then
Alder the Moose.
Is that the moose?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was the moose. I thought maybe that was a horse.
No, that's that's my second moose. That's gonna be a Mountie is gonna ride that once I get around to customizing that figure.
So, but underneath here there's a McFarlane Banshee thing over here in there. Okay, I was like, what the hell was that? Like, when you send me the picture, I'm looking at it going, is that what I think it is? Okay.
No, he gets used as a mount for Mythic Legions.
Hey, whatever works. I mean, it's a good way to headcanon it, but your Mythic Legions, obviously. Some, right? Not all, because I know there's some other.
Apart from that Banshee, I think it's all Mythic Legions.
Yeah. No, I'm saying this isn't the only place your Mythic Legions are at. Right?
Oh, no.
Didn't think so. Because I know that.
No, that's long term. There's going to be more to that shelf. I'm going to build like a foam dial. That's just sort of early stage. It's got an extreme sets as the background.
Okay. All right. So X-Men here, X-Men here, X-Men here, X-Men here, X-Men here. And then you got this Turtles. And then more Turtles. And Ewok. And then beneath that is more Mythic Legions.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then this is all Joe on this side and Cobra.
Yeah.
And then you kept Snake Eyes on the card? Or did you get 2?
I got 2.
So, question. One
Yeah.
of the questions is asked, that I sent you was inbox, out of box, does it matter? A little bit of both, right?
No, it's out of box. But there's certain things like the second Snake Eyes was more just as an example of what the card looked like, just for posterity.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the stuff that's still boxed there is gonna be unboxed once I sort of have somewhere to put it.
Okay. So these are the to be determined pile.
Kinda, yeah.
That's set
or
up
like
in
weird, or like random stuff. Like I think there's a Donatello, a storage shell Donatello on there too, which again is like I'll keep him on a card just for posterity, not because I'm not for a mint on card collection, but just to have for, Otherwise I just throw everything out packaging wise, and it's nice to kind of be able to look at a package once in a while just as a reference.
Yeah. Okay, this was your swerve.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, "This did Adam just like age himself like by 40 years?"
So you brought that up. I want people to comment in there. I got to step away for just a second, and
right.
You can check in with the comments and stuff. I'll be right back.
All righty, I will. Okay, where are we at? Well, maybe we do need some Hexastacks. Super sparkly glitter troll, really? Is that where we're going? Okay, hang on. Matthew, sometimes you have to let go in order to move forward. It is important. All right, now I got to go back. Where were we? See, Brick, Mazinger, Guy King, Writing, Godzilla. Yes, thank you. My brain is... I don't know. He's more of a Lego show. I don't know. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Where are we at? All right, man. We got to have a talk. That's a lot. That's a lot, man. Good gracious. A toss-up. Give you a toss-up on that one, Matthew. Sentinel Spider-Man, Peter B. Parker is the best Spider-Man. That's only if you like Peter B. Parker. All right. Alberto Morales has joined us. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Alberto.
Apparently, you have a room with a moose. You do. You have a moose room. Okay, so this was interesting, and I kind of get it. I'm assuming this is places that you've been. And this is a fairly common trinket-y kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So the way that it actually started, it is a little bit odd, and it's a little bit. Now this is like sentimental nostalgia. So that G1 Optimus Prime that was on my shelf wasn't originally mine. Originally, it was bought by my great aunt who had no kids of her own, but when we would go and visit, she would have like a whole bunch of cool toys. Yeah. So when she passed away, I grabbed a few toys, I grabbed a few sort of items from her house, and I grabbed her collection of spoons. And that was the starting point. It's sort of continuing her collection. And
this
then
is your
it was
collection.
This is what?
Your sentimental collection.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like it's funny because I think so it's places that I've been, but also when I have friends that go places, I'll often ask them like, "Hey, can you pick up a spoon, like a collectible spoon?" They're like, "You like the cheesy like," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And they think it's like ironic in some way, and it's not at all. It's like this is the original collectible.
When you see
These have
those,
been around for
think of her, right?
decades. People would be like, think about, you think about collecting, right? And I have this room of all these figures that I've curated and all this kind of stuff. This Spoons was a collection that a grown adult, like, there was no irony when these were like in fashion to collect, right?
They didn't have to justify their spoon collection.
They put them on the wall in a
hung them up. They had them in the nice China, buffet. It was all in the back of the China buffet. Yeah, it's interesting to see how our collections versus their collections.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same kind of thing if you really break it down to the heat of it. It's about something that you connected with that means something to you. That's what our toys do.
They're mementos.
There's something that means something to us, whether it's kinesthetic, whether it's looking at it that gives us joy, those kind of things. There's something emotional that attaches us to that. So this, obviously, it's a sentimental attachment. And I just thought it was interesting when you sent it. I was like, oh, okay, we can go there. We can go there. It's safe.
The other thing that this is sort of like a signifier as well, because this is something that's in my office that's indicative of sort of me in general. While toy collecting is sort of the collection that I share with most people in terms of, it's what I post on Instagram, it's what I talk about on YouTube, so on and so forth. I have these spoons. And then there's sort of other things that I collect. Like, I think if you're a collector, I wonder, if you're a toy collector, is there other stuff that you collect? And I've never thought to ask anybody that, but I have these spoons. I also collect cycling caps, like road cycling caps, the ones that look like kind of a painter's cap. I don't have an example, but I also collect fortune cookie fortunes.
Okay, that one's a little strange.
I have thousands of them, and
is it just for the pick-me-ups nature of it, or? It's
because they're ridiculous.
Okay, so it's absurdity.
It's absurdity, yeah, and they don't take up any room. Like, I have a box that's like, smaller than a shoebox.
Well, I mean, they're tiny, so yeah, it wouldn't be
thousands of them. And they're just interesting. And it's like, again, because we all have these like weird kind of things. Whenever there's, a takeaway meal or whatever, where fortune cookies are included.
Yeah.
I am the last person to take a fortune cookie. Like, it's not an obsessive compulsive thing. Again, like, you could label it that, but it would be incorrect. Just like I said about obsession, right? The terminology is very specific. It's not an obsessive compulsive thing. It's just it's a habit. It's like not even a superstitious thing, but I just like to have the last fortune of the fortune cookies. I also have to eat the fortune cookie before I can read the fortune. Okay. So,
that one might be a little OCD. just tell you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not. Again,
it's not an unhealthy thing. If it was disruptive,
could I read
if you had to eat 5 cookies a day and you couldn't do that, then we would have a conversation.
Read the fortune before eating the cookie? Yes. Would I feel as though it ruined my day to do that? No. It's just that's how I do it, rather than like a compulsion.
Yeah. So Mr. Wonderful says, if you don't start selling merch with a shirt that says "Please spoon me," you're missing out.
Duly noted. And if Mr. Wonderful, can you message that to me, because that gets into a whole different thing when he's talking about merch. And I don't even think that was on your sort of list of questions, but I mean, if we want to go to the idea of like, that gets real. Anyway.
No. So, all right, we're gonna get back on track here.
What else
All
do I
right.
collect? I feel
I
like
think
there's a
all of
couple
us
of.
collect something else. I think that's true. I haven't collected comics actively since 2008, maybe,
Mm,
but I have a rather large comic collection. It's fills up 3 shelving units in my garage.
yeah, I have a lot of comics too.
So it's there's those things that we
I
have that are touch points.
Yeah, like if there's comics on that shelf too, below the
Yeah,
box stuff. There's
but
comics on there.
that's
That's
not.
my unread comics.
Oh, that's your unread. Yeah. Okay. Well, you need to get to
That's
work
my
on
comic book shop where like when I need to go and read a comic, I can pull it off my shelf.
it. You just go and pull it off the shelf. Yeah, whatever works for that.
The But those collect like the spoons, the fortune cookie fortunes, the cycling caps. Those are things that I collected like that I've been collecting for like a much longer time than toys.
Yeah.
The other thing is, anytime I find a key on the ground, I keep it. So I have a collection of lost
Random
keys.
keys. You got
Yeah,
keys from somebody's house. You're looking for your key fob.
probably.
Adam's probably got it in Canada.
If somebody ever gets into your house, it wasn't me. I'm just saying it wasn't me.
Sure. Sure. All right. So, if there's anything that you do with your toys that you don't do that you'd like to do?
It's not. I don't think it's exactly how you phrased the question, but I would like to do more customizing.
Okay. Well, and that's that's what that question's about.
It's in the vein. It's in the vein of that question, I think.
Yeah.
But like I said, like I play with everything. I pose everything. You know, my kids are allowed in here, and we'll sort of play with toys. We'll even take some of them outside, which is blasphemous for a lot of people, but um, with kids, like we'll play with them outside. Not often, you know, the mood has to hit me,
Yeah.
and it has to be sort of the right day for it. But like Mythic Legions, we take Mythic Legions outside and play with them in the yard and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which for most people is sort of like outrageous to think. But they're toys.
You're making me twitchy just a little bit thinking about how many accessories I would lose in the yard.
So that's the caveat. We don't take, you know, the small daggers. We don't take. But the other, I mean, if I have multiples of it, why not? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. So I'm going to show this because this is the custom I just finished.
that's good, man. That looks so good.
That is sculpted this entire vest. The vest was Gung Ho's vest at one point. The head was Gung Ho's head at one point. The body is Bonebreaker. The hips are from a Veliver's Duster. The legs are Rakondo. The hat is Rakondo. The gun is from Fortnite. So he is a Frankenstein of the best way. So yeah, no, I just finished him the other day. Got him finally sealed up, ready to go. I'm not happy with the hands, so I'll probably end up having to change out hands, but I might just go with gloved hands. I've got tons of them. And apparently Jeremy collects Ben Cooper masks. I'm not sure what that reference means, but okay. He'll have to explain that. Matthew, it is Bonebreaker from the X-Men. The little tank guy. It's his body. I had an extra one because I bought an extra figure to use for another custom. So, okay.
Ben Cooper masks are those like really low res Halloween masks. Like
is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know what it was. I was like, I hadn't heard of that one, but so favorite all-time line and why?
That man, that's hard. And it's not hard. Why don't I just answer the question and then it'll make sense. Probably GI Joe.
Okay.
But if Animal Warriors continues on the path that that I'm pretty sure they're going to continue on, I don't know if it couldn't overtake GI Joe.
Okay. I mean, for me, let's say if I had to get rid of every line in my house, let's say whatever happens, I had to sell everything else, had to get rid of it. The last line that would go would be GI Joe. It was also the last line that I gave up as a kid. It's the one that persisted into 7th grade. So for me, it was the one that held on the longest. It was also the one that brought me back.
Yeah. I'm right there too. I mean, that was one of the last sort of my childhood collections that got sold off. And I sold it off kind of right around the time where we were, where I started going back to Toys R Us. So it was like it was gone right when I wanted it back. But I've since replaced, all the vintage figures that I had as a kid and more. GI Joe was, the cartoon, the toy line, the books, the comics. Like it was the line that I had the most stuff of. It was the one that I was the most interested in. As a kid, I thought I wanted to be in the Army because of GI Joe.
Yeah.
And then as I got older and I realized that the Army's not quite GI Joe, my perception of whether I wanted to be an Army man kind of changed. But but like the classified line, I love the classified line.
Yeah.
I've never been a completist of a line, and I probably never will be. That's just not kind of how I collect. But with classified, I think I went to like 54 before I skipped a figure. I just can't remember what the numbers are, but like it was like I bought everything, and I'm still buying almost everything because it checks all the boxes. Like the figures look great, the characters are characters that I love. Apart from the QC issues with that last wave, with CoverGirl, Falcon, Outback, like
some of those were in the last wave beyond that too, because the Zorana kept having arms pop off too. So it
mine didn't though.
Mine did, but I fixed it so it didn't. It wasn't a huge issue, but they were there for the last 2-3 sets.
Yeah.
So the 2 sets of 3, the most recent ones, both of them had that kind of issue, and hopefully it's worked out.
I hope so too.
I got my notification that Rock and Roll is in my pile of loot, so I don't want to ship him because I know the minute that I ship him, the rest of them will show up. Because literally, I shipped Monkey in and my other grab.
And that's why I do not buy anything from Big Bad Toy Store. I
shipped those 2, and then like literally the next morning, I get the notification. And give me 1 second, I'll be right back. Ugh. See if you can.
Oh, I can fill the time.
Okay, you fill the time. I'll be right back.
So my collection, pretty much everything that I buy right now, I'm buying from ecollectibles.ca because I'm in Canada. There are so many great retailers that aren't big bad retailers. Whether it's ecollectibles.ca in Canada, whether it's, Hella Dope Toys or whatever your sort of local shop is, like support your local shop because the margins suck. And, these guys go out of their way to do great customer service. And, the amount of time that it takes for them to make virtually no money. I just have so much respect for that as somebody that works in small retail myself. And, you know, like as a last resort, if I order something from Big Bad Toy Store, what inevitably happens is that they get like one of the two figures that I order, and then, 89 days later, they're like, you have to ship it, and I'm like, but I'm kind of waiting on this other thing, and they're like, we can't help you. And then I'm like, okay, ship it. And like you said, like the next day, that other item shows up.
It never fails. I've come to the conclusion. I wait about 45 days now. I was shipping it every 30, but if I wait 45, I'm usually pretty good. These two I had just put in. I just bought, so I was just like, you know what, ship them, because I didn't have anything in my pile of loot. Mm-hmm. Next day, Blade hit. Next day, that same day, Rock and Roll hit, and I was like, I forget it.
I don't. My big thing, I'm big on relationships. I have very few friends, and I say that jokingly. I'm an introvert. I don't care. I'm not like I'm not trying to make more friends. But Mike from E Collectibles and I chat like daily. And we were doing that before I was buying product from him.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, why am I not just buying my toys from this guy that I talk to about toys all the time? And so that's sort of how that relationship happened. It wasn't the other way around. It wasn't like, oh, I'm buying all my toys from this guy. I'll reach out and chat with him.
Yeah. I would say about 75% of my toys now are being bought from smaller. I still have about 25% that I do because it's the only place that's carrying it. Or I can't get it.
Okay. What did you buy from Big Bad that you can't get somewhere else?
Well, nothing right now, but the War of the Aether Blade I couldn't get anywhere else.
You could have got it from E Collectibles.
I didn't. That was shipping from Canada.
Yeah, it's still cheaper.
That might be beating me up a little bit. Sorry.
No, it's not. It's not, because the exchange works terribly for us, but it works well for you guys.
There's sometimes. So, what vintage line do you think that they should remake with modern aesthetics?
We even did a video of that, and I can't even remember what I said. I'm gonna sort of echo my own answer to an earlier question. When somebody comes out with a line, even if I don't buy it, I can appreciate it for what it is. So, like with modern aesthetics, would I buy another Super 7 Ultimate Lino if it didn't have pins and better articulation? Yes. Do I need another line of Thundercats that's better articulation without pins, blah, blah, blah? No.
Yeah. Well, I had a Bandai Classics Lino and a Bandai Classics Mumra, the 6-inch. I had those as my placeholders. I bought those when I found them because I was looking at the Matty collector stuff, and I was like, I'm not spending $600 to buy.
Yeah.
So when I got those, I was like, okay, these are going to be my Thundercats placeholders. Mm-hmm. And then slowly over time, I just was like, you know what? This, he can do sight beyond sight though. My Super 7 can't. So I'm just saying. I got my 12-year-old Bandai figure that can do it.
These aren't feasible, but the line. I guess there is one feasible one. So Exo Squad was about a 3-inch figure with a mech. If they did them in 3 3/4-inch figure with a mech that was in that scale, that might be something.
Like that. Joy Toy does pretty close to that.
Well, that's it. Yeah, Joy Toy's doing the 1/18 mechs with the 1/18 figures, and they look great.
They're fantastic, but my wallet would be like, no.
And that's just it. So a lot of this is why I say it's not feasible, because the other ones that I was thinking of were Dino Riders and Starcom, which
Oh,
are they're in like, I don't think it's as much with GI Joe. I know the GI Joe kind of world building GI Joe guys that want, the headquarters, and they want all the full size, the guys that want to, the guys that sort of look at classified and sort of don't like it because you're not going to get a whale or you're not going to get a flag or whatever.
yeah.
I get that. I understand that argument. Starcom and Dino Riders for me are two lines that, like, if they just remade them, I would probably buy them in that
You
scale.
could do the Dino Riders a lot easier because because it is Mattel that owns the license, and they already make dinosaurs.
Yes.
So the question would be whether or not they would be willing to make the mech parts and make the small people to go with it. There's
a bigger question, and Hasbro is having this issue with this similar thing, which we can come back to. But Dino Riders and Starcom, Dino Riders, it was the dinosaurs. Starcom is the ships.
Yeah.
If you scale those up, where are you going to put them?
No, that's the same thing with classified. I mean, how many classified vehicles are you going to fit in a room?
I don't want I don't want that many classified vehicles. So the people that are like, I want all the classified vehicles. I'm like, I don't want all the classified vehicles. I will list off the classified vehicles that I want. His Tank, we're getting it. Vamp, I hope we get it. Dragonfly, rumored to be getting it.
Yeah.
Skyhawk, Buzzbore, just because it's absurd.
Yeah.
Thunder Machine, like,
yeah.
I don't need all of them. There's like a select. I don't need an APC in 6-inch scale. You know what I mean? Like,
it doesn't make any sense. And then you got the ones who want, like, pie in the sky. I want a USS flag. I'm like, where the hell are you going to put it? It's 21 feet. If you scale it out, it's 21 feet. How many rooms do you have to fit that in?
I think anybody that could afford a classified scale flag has room for it.
You might as well build it at that point. It'd be cheaper.
Somebody will. You know that.
There's a guy, GI Dad. He's doing a 3 3/4-inch one made out of wood with lights, and it's like fantastic. You need to look it up. It's on YouTube.
To like actual scale?
No, it's 1/18 scale, but it's got like,
but like 1/18 to scale of an actual aircraft carrier.
Yeah,
it's
massive. And he finished that, and he's working on the Cobra-headed plane.
Yeah.
So if you don't know of his GI Dad on YouTube, it's cool stuff. He's doing it with wood, so it is all hand done. All right, so in thinking about aesthetics and what you do, what makes you want a figure? What draws you to that figure?
I'll be honest, it kind of works the other way around for me. I have to not buy everything. So it's more like, how do I talk myself out of buying the things that I don't buy?
Okay.
And I can't tell you the answer to that, because you've seen the collection. There's some random stuff in here. I like what I like, and I buy what I like, and I am I'm in a position where I'm terrible with money, but my wife is really good with money, so I just give her kind of all my money, and then I have my pocket money, so to speak. And I spend it. And I don't have to feel guilty about it, because I have I give her the money, and she says, "This is how much you're allowed." It's not quite as, I'm not an infant. I do understand how money works, but it's easier if I pretend I don't when I buy my toys. it's yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm mature enough to only buy what really works for me, what really kind of fits. And I genuinely don't ever feel like I'm like restricting myself, which sounds terrible. I just buy what I like. Um, I just know that I can't have everything, and don't aspire to have everything. So, if there's a cool fuzzy thing that comes
Yeah.
out, it's probably something that I'm going to buy. Um, you know, there's so many there's so many characters that I already have. This is another thing too, for me at least, that I've gotten to the point where most of the characters that I want in action figure form I have.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to the point where my collection has shifted to, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom or Mythic Legions or Armies of Ashmore, where I'm kind of buying cool action figures that don't have to check a nostalgic box. They don't, they can just be cool, and um, and that can kind of be enough.
You mean like this?
Yeah, Kali looks like, how cool is that?
As soon as I saw the book, I was like, I have to pre-order this. It's not because it's a making of the figures, so it was kind of cool that it was there.
Yeah,
So I'm sure that I got it when I got my issue 4.
yeah.
All
Did you
right,
get the digital issue 4 or physical issue 4?
I got both.
Have you read it yet?
Yes, I have.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so since we're talking about what draws you to a figure, we're going to kind of go through these guys for AWOC Series 2 and briefly touch on 3 in the game. So Blight, obviously, it's a repaint of Pale, but I love the purple. I love the black. I love the blue. It's good contrast. It just looks cool. I love the weapons, too. And that nice blue and green tint.
Mm-hmm.
It
poison tipped.
It pops.
Yeah.
It just looks cool. Sorry,
it looks phenomenal. But I have to interject, and I have to. So the idea that Blight is a repaint of Pale canonically is not entirely accurate.
Well, I know, but there's enough.
Now, if you're curious about content related to the canon of Animal Warriors of the Kingdom,
you have to do your show with Brick, right?
Yeah, and he mentioned it in the comments, so I got.
Yeah, he did mention it. I put it up earlier.
I know. But Brick and I are like basically going through the comic books and just talking about the canon and talking about like, why do we have Blight? Like, why does this figure exist? Does he exist, in canon? And he absolutely does. And the reason that he does is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And if you're not reading the comic books, but you are buying the action figures, what is wrong with you? They're $2 for the digital version. We're 4 issues in now, so you're $8 to get all caught up on canon. And it's still, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. So I say that, jokingly. I'm not. You don't have to read the comics if you don't want to.
Before I go in with this, him and Vero Atlas were the 2 figures that I had picked out to purchase originally.
Mm-hmm.
Not Wave 1. I hadn't touched Wave 1. And then, of course, you and Brick enabled me, and then now it's a problem.
Yeah, Brick and I tend to strong arm people into buying things remotely, virtually, right? Like we're not in physical contact with anybody.
Yeah, no, not in physical contact remotely. All right, this is Wave 3. There's some of these guys. So this is I thought I had these in better order, but I guess not. I dig it. I ended up with 3 because I have the one that I'm getting with the game, and then the 2 separate. I bought an all in for 2 of them. I
The
didn't want to
double
get
all-in,
3
yeah.
of everything, but I guess 2 seemed like it would be good because that way I could play a game with my son if I wanted to.
Yep.
So that way he would have, at least an opportunity to have the same kind of figures that I do.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have the
Yeah,
same.
I'm definitely getting multiples of this just to have that gold armor as well for
gold armor's
for
fantastic.
bashing.
Pops really well.
Yep.
All right. I don't know what's going on with this. Hang on. Pull up my. Oh,
This is, I mean, just on the topic of AWOC, like this is just an IP that and Thanos Copter said if you aren't reading the comics, you're missing out, and that's absolutely true. I mean, I think it's, because so many of us are buying action figure lines and buying toy lines that are inspired or informed by nostalgia.
Yeah,
AWOC is just,
packs. It costs, but this is different. This has no. It has. Here's the way I describe it. It has contextually similar things that kind of ties into that, but I have no nostalgic attachment to this.
Yeah.
This is all 100% something new.
Yeah, I mean
I like the simpleness of these, the 4 kind of
the Primal Ancients
characters from Wave 2.
Yep.
There's something cool about the simplicity. It leads me for, customs and other things like that eventually.
You know what this also reminds me of, and we didn't get this so much with like boys' toys, but like with, forgive me, everybody, but like Barbie always had, the cheap doll with like just a slip dress on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could kind of build your collection from there.
Mm-hmm.
The Primal Ancients kind of have that, if you want to dip your toe in the line,
it's a good way to do it. It's got the same sculpting. It just doesn't have everything that
you're missing out because the armor and the weapons and stuff like that are just so cool and so fun. But you're gonna get the figure, you're gonna get the articulation, and I'm excited to get these to kind of mix and match, my Chunari army and my Horde.
I mean, once I had one in hand, that really is what sold me.
Yeah.
That first time that I pull it out of the box and I'm playing with it and I can see what I can do with it pose wise, that sold me. I mean, this is a good gateway. This is what you call a gateway figure. And they look cool. All 4 of the ones that are, this way, they're all cool.
Yeah. So you had the Chunari infantry.
Yeah.
That's the Feral Beastie.
And
then
cool.
And then you have him out of order, so that's not a Primal Ancient, but
no. Like I said, I thought I had him in order, but I guess I
Feralist Stalker, so that's coming with Wave 3.
This is what it's another, but it's still another army builder.
Mm-hmm.
So it still qualifies. It's just got armor.
2 heads too.
Yeah.
I don't know that the picture showed that, but there's an alternate head coming with that figure.
And here's our head packs.
Yeah,
That we're getting head packs. I love that I can do that, even if it's a simple customization. This one is my favorite, right there.
Yep, the Atreyu alternate head to turn your Atreyu into Lino.
Yeah, it was perfect for me. It's like, ooh, hello.
I got all of them.
I love this face paint here too.
I couldn't decide which one I liked the most, so I just ordered all of them.
Yeah, I got them all too. And here's another army builder. This is the
Horde Brute, I think. Is what, I don't know. I keep thinking it's called something that it's not. I keep calling it the Horde.
Yeah, it's Horde Brute. I have the file name.
I keep calling it the Berserker, but I don't think that's the actual name. But anyway. And Jeremy says play a game. Yeah, I mean, like, plus the fact that there's going to be a tabletop game that goes along with this. Like, it just,
this one shows some of those pictures. I got all these pictures from Sparrow's site, so
yeah,
it wasn't. Some of them don't have everything that is coming with it, but I do like that this has an alternate head that's red. Mm-hmm. Kind of gives a different kind of look. That doesn't have the helmet.
Yeah, the Feralist Stalker is. I don't know why it doesn't have a picture with the alternate head, because the alternate head is like an
There
actually
it is.
different head. Like
It's a picture
it's
of the alternate head. It
there is
just,
a picture of it?
yeah, it's got the red head on this one.
No, the Feralist Stalker, the
Oh,
cap.
okay, the other one. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't
Like
know.
it has anyway. I'm not here to sell Jason's toys. That's
Here's another. This is another bad guy, just army builder kind of thing.
yeah,
But
so that's
cool
the
looking.
horrid uh
Scavenger.
scavenger. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
scavenger.
you have the names, right? That's
I've
helps. I
got I've
can't.
got the names on the file, so I can just look over there.
Yeah.
Now these are the 3 3/4 or 4-inch ones that they had. Now I just wanted to go over these because I know that some of these will eventually make it into the other thing.
Yep.
I do love this with the nice little cybernetics, but that isn't the one. This one, Kitty,
Is that
Bingus.
Genghis Khan?
Yes,
I don't know that one's going to make it into the line.
I do like the look though, so I have a feeling we'll probably get something similar.
Well, Hannibal is pretty similar.
Yeah.
So King Hannibal is pretty similar. The 4-inch Hannibal isn't as similar to what the 6-inch Hannibal will be. Like that Bengus looks more like the 6-inch Hannibal than the 4-inch Hannibal looks like the 6-inch Hannibal.
Yeah, but you could kind of see where they were going from the beginning here. I mean, that's kind of what this. I liked looking at the 4-inch ones just so we could see kind of the.
They're great figures.
Yeah. And of course, here's Jeremy's play a game. I definitely, this was a night my wallet cried a little bit. Kicked and screamed, but.
Yeah, but it was tears of joy.
Yeah, but it's going to be something that I'm going to be able to do. I can play with my friends online. I can play with my son. This is something different.
This game is something that I from sort of the day that I heard about this was sort of one of those things where we talk about playing with your toys, when we talk about what are your play patterns, whatever, right? Like not to be dismissive when I say whatever, but this is like enabling us to play with our toys again, and this also gives us a format and sort of a structure where we can sort of play with our toys with our friends. It's and again, and I'm going to add something that I had a conversation with Jason today, actually, and he didn't say I couldn't say this, so I will. But again, like, this is a toy line, and this is a toy line that that Jason. I was talking to Jason, and he was showing me some pictures of some things that are coming that are just so cool. And he was showing me a picture of a character that was in sort of the 3D sculpting phase, and it didn't have pins. And I said, "Is this going to be a pinless figure, or is that just down to the 3D sculpt?" And he said, "No, it will have pins." And he said something that was like, I thought it was so cool, and so Jason. He was like, I want my toys to look like toys, so all the toys will have pins.
It's an interesting thing. It's a take, yeah.
Because everybody wants their toys to look like they're real, and I'm like, they're 6 inches tall. I said to him, I was like, I don't mind the pins, and I agree with the idea that like toys should look like toys. You're more inclined to play with them. I just thought it was such a cool take from like a toy maker to say like, no, I want these to be toys. I don't want these to be like stand-ins, like a real monkey.
Yeah. Jeremy decided he wants to give a new way to interact with your figures. Call it play if you must. Well, yeah, it is play. You're still playing. It's just how you're playing is dynamically different. Yes. You're not playing smash it, beat it, whack it with a stick. You're playing, I'm gonna pose and smash it, beat it, whack it with a stick. So
I think for a lot of parents, they're like, this is the way that I can let my kids play with the toys. There's rules. You can't just smash them together.
there you go. All right, this is Cordoon, right?
That is Cordoon. Yeah.
Oh, I love the dual colors. Just there's so much about this one that just it was cool. I mean, I'm partial to the kitties, so
Yeah.
that's
so the pre-production one that I have doesn't have all the deco, and it still looks phenomenal.
I love that he's got different colored weapons. That's cool.
The metallics look great on those too. Yeah.
I mean, that's a cool ass pose, and I like the hair braid, just flipping out back, or the bow.
That's the bow.
It's a bow. Okay, I thought it was a hair braid for a second. I was like, wait, is that a hair braid? Okay. Lexion, this is our pirate, right?
Yep.
Supposedly pirate.
He's one of the pirates.
Okay. We haven't really been introduced to him in the comics yet, so I was like,
man, the pie. This is an awesome figure. I'm really excited about this figure. But
I love the head sculpt. That's
where the pirates are going is bonkers. There's some characters that are pirates that are gonna be pretty awesome.
Well, that's cool. Ooh,
that's Primalation. That's Onyx.
Well, I know I went too far. I hit the button. I love the weapons. Again, it's I still like that crossbow. That crossbow is cool.
Yeah.
Love this image. See,
yeah,
I wish there was more photos.
What?
I wish there were more photos, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
There's some that have like one, and you're just like, can I see more?
Yeah.
Can I see more, please? Onyx is cool. Okay, this was hilarious because one of the people in the Toy Frenzy chat was like, "Oh, I got Onyx today." I was like, "Who's Onyx?" And they were like, "Animal Warriors." Oh, okay. Because it was like randomly there. It was just like I was like, I don't remember. Because I
dropped it in there,
but I couldn't remember their name. I don't know all the names. And as soon as they said Onyx and it clicked, it's like, oh, that's the black one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I'm not losing my mind. Okay, here's another army builder.
Ash.
And there's Thane. This
man.
Beastie Boy. Yeah, I didn't get a picture of Tanger, but him, orange.
Yeah, imagine him as Beastman. Imagine Thane cosplaying as Beastman.
There you go.
And that's Tanger. Right.
I love the secondary head with that kind of snarl. That is cool. And of course the brass knuckles.
Yep. And that giant hammer.
Giant hammer, yeah.
The hammer is like taller than most of the figures.
I mean, it's nice. I like a chunky. Every once in a while, you got to get a chunky guy on your shelf.
I think that figure too. Like when that figure lands, and people start kind of getting that in hand and talking about that figure and reviewing that figure, I think that's the moment the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom it goes from like a line that people kind of know about to like a line that
people want. Yeah.
People need.
Yeah. Okay, I said I had two. I went ahead and backed off on the second one because I don't need two. I just need one. I just need one because I have to be smart. I can't.
Are you aware that there's a head in the head packs that is
yes, I saw it.
Colored to match Vero?
Yeah, but I do like this one a lot. I love the purple. Anything with purple, you pretty much are going to sell me. Purple and pink is weird for whatever reason. Purple and pink is my wife's favorite color, so
yeah.
Anything with my wife's favorite color, I'm probably going to end up buying. That way I can go, look, it has your colors.
My wife has a favorite color too, and I would be lying if I said that I wasn't petitioning to get a figure that had that color on it.
Yeah, but no, this one, and I love that. I love his staff. That is just cool.
Yeah, it's like unique accessory to Vero Atlas, Kickstarter exclusive, but you can still get them a couple places.
Yeah, your least favorite place in the world you can get him.
Yeah, you can also still get it from ecollectibles.ca, which is my most favorite toy retailer. So I guess the two ends of the spectrum. But that staff that's unique to that figure, um, it's not a big deal. But I have a prototype of it.
Well, these
Um,
are the things. This was like him and Blight were the two that I had originally, when I was thinking of getting into the line, those were the two that just jumped out at me.
yeah,
Something very unique, something different. There wasn't a whole lot. I like chunky boys, but I was just torn on whether or not I would really go for that one or not. But once I got that first, I went ahead and just said, you know what, I'll get the first three and see how they are. And I got those three, and then got the next three, and
that was the beginning of the end.
the beginning of the end. Then pretty much everything else has been ordered. I
I
wasn't going to buy the
genuinely-
glow in the dark weapon set, and guess
Yeah.
what I did? It's on my pre-order list. I'm like,
You
need
need
help.
it. You need it. You need to get it.
I need help though.
No, I mean, look, cut out all the clearance stuff.
Yeah.
Cut out all the stuff.
Well, I won't be going to the store as often during the summer because there's, logistically, there's just no way to do that unless I really, really have to get something.
I think the natural evolution for most collectors is you kind of get a couple there's a couple figures that you pick up because you're like, I'm not a toy collector, but I'll grab these two Marvel Legends or these two Motu figures or whatever, and I'll just put them on a shelf, and I won't, there'll be a display. Yeah. And then you get them on a desk, and you're like playing around with them, and you're like, maybe I got He-Man and Skeletor, maybe I'll get Mossman, or maybe I'll get Stinkor or whatever, and it just if you can just get one or two figures and then just be done,
you're got fantastic willpower, right?
No, you're just not a collector. You're just somebody that bought a couple trinkets.
Here's how my collection started, my modern collection. This is the bad thing. Okay, it started with just classified. I picked up every classified that was available, including some that were high priced.
Oh,
within 30 days.
Uh-huh.
And then it was like, now what? So then I went back and got 25th, 30th, and 50th anniversary figures. So the figures that I really wanted. I didn't go whole hog. I could have. I know I got a couple of the new sculpts. I did not get a Shadow Tracker, even though I thought it was cool. Just something different.
Uh-huh.
But that's where my wall of Joe figures come from. Mm-hmm. Those I knew as soon as I got them, I was not opening them to play with them because I just wanted that experience to walk in and go, this is a toy aisle. That to me was a nostalgic feeling for me. And then from there, it went to Legends, then McFarlane, then, my McFarlane is more curated. It has to be Justice League, Legion of Doom, and Batman specific.
I don't think anybody can keep up with Todd McFarlane's output as far as those figures go. Like if you're a McFarlane DC, what is it called? What's the line even called? The DC
Multiverse.
Multiverse.
Yeah.
If you're a McFarlane DC Multiverse completist, I have sympathy for you because it's like every day there's a new figure that comes out.
It's ridiculous.
Every day there's a new figure that people go, why does this exist?
Yeah, I don't need 25 versions of Batman. That's the other thing. I mean, there's at least one Batman in every wave, and it's just like, come on. I don't need 25 versions of Batman.
There's waves that are 25 versions of Batman.
I know. But it's
not just every wave. It's like there's waves that are literally just versions
of
Batman that people have never heard
of. I think I have a couple variants of the Batman, but I got the Three Jokers one, and that one is what's in my actual display for Batman because it's got the traditional yellow symbol, and it may not be the blue and gray, but it's the black and gray, so it works. It's thematically for me, that's Batman in my head.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm right there. Like Nightfall. So I said I wasn't a DC guy right off the jump, like an hour and a half ago. But Batman Nightfall, Death of Superman, like that kind of 90s era DC. There's a soft spot in my heart for some of that stuff.
Yeah. Allison says they need to do Batman and after party in his birthday party costume. that's the kind of how it's getting.
There's only so many versions.
I do like the Barbarian Batman that they're doing for the
page punchers one, the 4-inch one.
Just because I think it would fit in really well with Legions.
Yeah, but it's not the right scale.
There's a 7-inch. No, there's a 7-inch Batman Barbarian one that's coming out.
It would be like an inch and a half too tall.
But realistically,
it's your collection, man. You do what you want.
It's not that far. It's not that far off. I promise. It doesn't look as bad. It would work well with Masterverse too. So
yeah.
So then, scale wise, it wouldn't be the same. I hate the ankles and the feet. They make me crazy, and the top heavy bodies. Just there's some things about them that I just really don't like, which is why I'm curating those. I'm not. It has to be very specific for me to buy it now.
I did in a moment of weakness. I bought the what was it? The Action Comics 1000 version of Superman.
Yeah.
Got it home. Literally 2 left feet.
Oh yeah, no. My Batman 3 Jokers has 2 left feet.
So I took it back, and I've not bought another figure since. But
yeah, no, I only paid $6.99 for that Batman.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's not a big deal for me.
I think they paid me to take it, and I took it back and took their money back, and I was like, "Look, I don't want this. You can have your money and your figure." Too many. I just don't. I'd have to have another shelf too, and I'm not putting any more shelves. Well, there's probably going to be more shelves in here as I look around. There's room for more shelves, but we'll see.
There's always room somewhere for more shelves. It's just a matter of how much your spouse is willing to go. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I have a shelf that has 2 more shelves on it to be put up on the wall. So that's
So that's where this is going to go, right? Now,
no.
How you feel about Hector?
I've intentionally left my G.I. Joe shelves a little bit thin so that there's still room for G.I. Joes on the G.I. Joe shelves.
So what did you think about the shipwreck? And I know people are kind of torn about it, but
who's torn about it? It looks great. I mean,
I think it looks great.
It looks great.
It's 100% vintage, but there's also some nice touches. He's always been one of those polarizing characters, basically because of the misogyny, I guess, during the 80s. But that was the 80s. So,
look, do misogynists exist in the world?
Absolutely.
So what's the complaint? I mean, that's
you got to realize I go down with some really strange, complainy, whiny. Remember when we talked about that earlier? I
just think it's you're gonna get it from both sides, right? Because I think a lot of the G.I. Joe collectors are not the ones complaining about misogyny. I think they might be on the other end of that spectrum. Not to sort of say anything disparaging about anybody on either end of that sort of.
My only complaint is I wish Polly would have had some spreadable wings.
Yes, that's my complaint as well. We saw.
I would have loved to been able to have her, him, be able to squawk or something.
Yeah, we saw Spirit with Freedom, and Freedom had wing options. Yeah. I would have liked that. That's definitely my complaint as far as Shipwreck goes. I could see us getting another version of Shipwreck at some point.
Well, I'm assuming we'll get like the
Pursuit of Cobra one with like the turtle and the sweater kind of look. Yeah, I could see that, and I could see us getting another version of Polly in that.
I hope.
So not even an articulated wing, but like a spread wing, so that we get both versions, and I'm okay with that.
So Iron Corpse.
Are
you getting these?
Yep.
Okay. Are you leaving the bobblehead one? on, or are you taking the other one, the secondary helmet?
No, I'm going with the vintage inspired one, and
Okay.
I'm thinking that I may trim those shoulder pads off to make it look more like the vintage figure.
Okay. Well, you could probably do that. I'm sure they'll probably come off. Tunnel Rat.
Love it.
This is one of those figures that when I was, I love that they went and did the flashlights again.
Yep.
Hunt those flashlights. Now, as a kid, no, I hated that. I had to keep track of that stuff. I actually had all of his, those flashlights were in like a little Ziploc bag next to him because I knew that I would lose them if I didn't.
This is one of my sort of childhood favorites as a kid, and only found out later that as far as like the idea of representation. My wife is half Japanese, and so by extension, so is her brother. And he loved Tunnel Rat because Tunnel Rat was half Japanese, and that was like a big thing to him, and it never even crossed my mind. But now I have like my affinity for this figure is sort of coupled with the idea that this figure meant something to people outside of the reasons that it meant something to me. So
yeah. Well,
I think they did a great job with it.
Yeah. And it's the fact it's an homage character for Larry Hama too. So
yeah,
I mean, that's 100%. A touch point for a lot of Joe fans as well.
Yeah.
This, you know what? Everybody gives the Televiper crap, but I'm sorry. I like the Televiper. Yeah, the gimmick was kind of cheesy, but if you think about him in now terms, that he could disrupt any kind of signal, communication signal, television, but
awesome.
Realistically,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a perfect sabotage person right now.
My complaint with this figure is that they gave him those weird black arms.
Yeah, I don't get that, but yeah.
The vintage figure had bare arms, and so, but it was also a Caucasian figure. Yeah, so they give him the alternate head, so they got to kind of work around that. I would have rather just had full blue sleeves.
Yeah. I still like it. I still like it. I don't know why people give it such bad things. I'm one of those weird.
It looks great. I mean, plus the trouble bubble, I'm definitely going to grab a couple of these.
No, this is one of those ones that it's actually one of the ones that I had to go. I have a vintage. It's on a pseudo card, one of those little small bubbles ones.
Yeah.
He was one of the vintage figures that I had to go get.
Yeah. It's a great looking vintage figure. The accessories are cool. That like the sonic boom gun or whatever. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but
now these ladies, this was an immediate get for me. I got 2 of these on order. I love the secondary helmets.
Yeah, I don't love the brown unpainted accessories, but I got two sets of the 2. And then I'll probably keep one set in the brown, and then one set I'll just dye black.
Yeah, and that to me is that for me as a customizer, that's like, I can change that if I want to.
Yeah. The figures themselves, I think, look great.
Great head sculpts, and I like that they come with 2 helmets, so you can choose to have them be the officer, or you can choose to have them be the the soldier. So that's cool. Big Ben. I loved the way this figure looked. I loved the sculpt. This was an immediately had to be purchased pre-order kind of thing.
Night Force Big Ben.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just Big Ben. Give me Big Ben. Give me something different. Something looks cool. Just I love the way this looks top to bottom. And I like that we're kind of going in new directions. Here's another one. This is one of my favorite of all time. Is Snow Job. Love the character, love the, love my Ginger. Gotta get my Ginger Joe, and I'm glad they do them. And the accessories are amazing.
He's great. Yeah, I mean, I snow, desert, water. Like if you're too specialized, like I just, even as a kid, like I tended to just get the ones that would work more universally. But I mean, it snows here a lot, so I'm getting a couple of these, and I'm hoping that the ball peg for the head fits at least one of the other Joes. so that I can have kind of two snow troopers out there.
And I love the Range Viper.
Yeah.
Why? I can't really explain it. I shouldn't like it. I should aesthetically go, that is awful, but it works.
It does. It really does. And
It
this is,
works so
again,
well.
in the same way that the Televiper had those black arms that I didn't
Yeah.
like. This has the black arms, and it works for this, for me at least.
Yeah.
Funny story, I didn't realize that wasn't his head until about 4 years ago. I thought that it was like some sort of zombie or something. I didn't realize it was like a helmet.
Well, it's kind of a disturbing helmet, right? I mean, it's a little bit off.
It's like a skull and a brain, and I mean, I should have clued in and like, yeah, that's not really how a.
It's the I don't make sense kind of thing. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, and it's got straps. Like the figure looks like it's wearing a mask, but.
Here's Torpedo. This was one of the figures that me and my brother, we used to fight over this figure. Who got to be Torpedo?
Yeah, I mean, talk about a figure that got a glow up. That's like the most boring figure from 1983, and this figure, I think, is going to be like the best in the wave.
Yeah, well, and there's just going to be one of those figures where you can pop ahead and get you a whole squad of SEALs.
Yeah, and that's when you're kit bashing GI Joes when you're a kid, you got to take the screw out. You don't take it all apart. The O-ring might shoot off. You might lose it. It was time consuming. The fact that I can just pop this head off and put a breaker head on or whatever, a flint head or a falcon head. I don't know that I'd ever put a falcon head on any figure. But the fact that you can just pop the head off and you've got another character, I think just it makes these figures so much more fun and so much,
Oh, it's one of the things.
It's that much easier. It's that much easier.
Yeah, you can get into trouble if you wanted to army build with these.
Yeah.
You that buck is going to be reused right for the eel really quickly.
Yeah. Well, it better be, because we have one scuba diver, and if he has no one to go up against, this is the same thing about the snow guys, right?
Yeah. But we've got an artist back that's coming, so we've got somebody coming for snow job. Yeah. But this thing, I love the secondary head. I'm sorry, I love to change it up. I'm so excited about that.
Since the beginning of the line, my inclination was towards the figures that were sort of reimagining the classic figures. Like Wave 1, I loved. And people push back and they're like, I don't like the gold. I don't like the Joe Pro. I don't like, X, Y, and Z. Fair enough. But when they just upscale a vintage figure, it does a lot less for me. I like this. I like this head a lot. What I don't like about this is that it doesn't come with all the stuff that the normal bat comes with, because you already have the molds and you could just throw it in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they gave you the backpack, so obviously you can just take, the other stuff and put it with it, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, my issue with this is like, why are you giving me an android that's a sniper? Just leave the gun out, give me the hands, and I would probably buy more of these if they did it that way.
I like the secondary head. I know that head I can probably use somewhere else too. So yeah, it's something. It's them taking a chance. Now, this is everybody getting their. I have a feeling this one's going to be on a retro card.
Firefly. Yeah, I think they've said that, haven't they?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they said it or not, but I have a feeling this one it's fine. I guess I don't get the extra drone, but whatever.
I like the Firefly that they already did. Again, like I said, those first couple waves, I like the
Firefly. I like my Firefly.
Yeah,
I don't do with it. I like that he has a drone. I like that it's modernized. I like the vest, because that would be a vest that a demolition expert would want.
I get the argument that a saboteur wouldn't want that because you're not going to be able to sneak in very quickly and easily with that big heavy vest on because that's plated, right? Like it would be
Well, it's
heavy.
plated, but it's also holding all of his C4 and everything else that he eats. So
Yeah.
it's a lot better than carrying a backpack.
Let's be realistic. He is not a real world representation of
No,
anybody.
And of course, here's Rock and Roll, who's in my pile of loot, just staring at me, taunting me, saying, "As soon as you ship me, everybody else will show up, and then you'll be stuck." But I love the Rock and Roll. I'm not a tan shirt guy from his version 2. I might be overly tempted to paint that green, but I may just leave it because I know I'll get a green one eventually.
I think it looks great. The only thing I don't like about this figure, and I've said this before, is the hand tattoos. It doesn't, and that's a quick and easy, isopropyl alcohol or whatever, acetone. You'll get that off there.
Winsor Newton Brush Restorer is the fastest way to remove that.
Yeah, but that's way more expensive than a $1 bottle of acetone from Walmart.
Yeah, but that can affect the sealant on the plastic. So
yeah, but if you're just doing hand, I do the hands and then I just hit them with the Gundam Mr. Hobby spray.
Oh, well, okay, then that'll work. Okay, I like Copperhead, but I do kind of feel like he's naked without his boat.
Pass.
I'm getting him.
I pass.
I like the head, but it's one of those that I think is.
Yeah, great looking figure. I just didn't have the water moccasin as a kid, and to get him without a water moccasin, I was like, yeah, he's not a troop builder. He's a named character, so I just don't have a connection to him.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, he may pop up on a clearance shelf somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure we're gonna have quite a few of these that are.
You guys will. We won't.
Yeah, no, you guys don't get clearance.
We don't get that clearance shelf stuff.
Target will ship it out, get it in, ship it out fast. They get about 30 days in store before they start chipping away at them.
The G.I. Joe movie figures at the Walmart here in Kelowna are still $36.
Yeah, the ones that were here where I live, they're still full price for the G.I. Joe movie figures.
Yeah.
I'm just like, do you guys not realize that everybody else is selling those for $6? You're just holding on to them for posterity's sake.
I wonder if there's an agreement there between, a couple of companies that say like you got to hold the line. But the weird thing is like GameStop, at least in Canada, has had those on their $5 Friday. So I picked up like an extra Scarlet. I picked up an extra Storm Shadow. I picked up an extra.
Well, the Scarlet's got a good body to do a traditional Scarlet from.
Steel Core is a Scarlet body.
Who?
That Steel Core 2-pack.
Yeah. I'm talking about if you wanted to do a traditional Scarlet with the tan and the.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
The movie Scarlet is better to do it with than the
actual one. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
I didn't put Scrap Iron, but obviously Scrap Iron is, to me, he's the star of that wave that's coming out.
That's a great looking figure. Top to bottom. I mean that drone thing. It's Scrap Iron and Pet, right? So his pet is that drone, and that drone looks really, really good.
And I'm okay with that. I mean, it's kind of like this. I went and tracked this thing down as soon as I saw it for Nagahide.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the kind of reimagining in my head. Mm-hmm. This is what a pet would be for Cobra. It would be mechanical. It would not be the it wouldn't be just the standard Warthog.
Yeah, near future international terrorist organization. I mean it wouldn't.
That makes sense.
I agree. I mean, it would just be an animal. You'd be like, yeah, I need more. It needs to be more terrible.
Yeah, frightening.
Yeah,
it needs to be something that's strikes fear. I mean, All right. So We've gone through most of those. I would go through the little folder that I have for thing, but it's only a couple figures on the figure arts. But I know that you have the Broly that I. Are you getting the cooler? Are you thinking about the cooler?
The metal cooler.
Yeah.
No, I did the Tamashi Nations, which is like the sort of company that does the promotion and stuff. They did a video where they like kind of posed it and went through all the articulation, and it looked really, really good. And so there was a split second where I was like, I mean, maybe. And then I was like, no, because it's kind of an army builder. Like it's a robot. So like in the movie that it's in, that's the other thing. It's like it's in one movie and it's not really it's not a character that I need. It's not on my it wasn't on my long list of figures that I like, characters that I would want in figure form. So
Yeah.
So ultimately the answer is no. I will definitely go back and forth, but ultimately the answer will be no. It's just it's too expensive for what it is.
Yeah. So we're gonna ask the magic question, and it's, if space and money weren't an issue,
Sure.
what would you collect?
Again, this goes to that one about, like the aesthetics of a modern line or whatever. I would probably just collect what I'm collecting now. There's not really, there's things that I see that look cool that ultimately, I pass on for a reason. And if space and money weren't an issue, I think ultimately I would probably just still appreciate them for what they are, but not get them.
Any buyer's remorse, regrets, anything that you bought that you're just like, I wish I hadn't done that?
It's in hindsight, it's like one of those things where, like, if I could go back and not have bought all the things that I've sold, I would have had that money.
Yeah.
Spent on something later, but it like that's not how it works. I am somebody that like I have a strong sense that, like, there's no regrets, there's no remorse. There's hard lessons learned, right? You buy things sometimes that were too expensive, or the version that you probably shouldn't have gotten because you knew there was another version that you wanted more. So you learn your lessons. I mean, there's
Patience is the thing that pays off the most.
Patience pays off. Yeah. And I've kind of learned that patience pays off by making mistakes. And if I hadn't made those mistakes, I might not have learned that patience pays off. So it's like this thing where, if you live in a world where regret exists, then if you go back and change all those things, you're a different person.
Yeah, I bought, like, it's like right after I bought the bath for Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Paid more than I probably should have, and then of course a week later, guess what gets announced?
The retro carded purple version.
Like,
yeah.
See, those are the ones where I get really. It's where I know I should probably be patient, and I'll get what I want. That's kind of like with Blade. That's why I haven't bought the Blades that are out there. DST just did a Blade. He's in my pile of loot. I'm perfectly happy with getting Diamond Select. The articulation is enough for me for the most part. There's some that are just specifically, I have to get the Diamond Select because that Juggernaut for Diamond Select is my Juggernaut. I need a Juggernaut. Yeah. It looks like a Juggernaut. The other ones that I've seen for the Legends, they don't look like Juggernaut to me. He looks too small. So, is there any time that you see yourself not collecting, and what does that look like?
No.
No.
I mean, I could see there being a time where I'm not buying the lines of toys that I'm buying, but going back to the spoons and the keys and the fortune cookie fortunes, there will always be something. It's finding the items, right? I have an affinity for tangible things, and so I don't see myself ever getting to a point where I mean, unless heaven forbid, I become senile or get dementia or something like that. Maybe that would stop me.
I don't know. I'm beginning to think I'm getting early dementia. Honestly, way my
So
brain's.
that's probably the only way that it would stop, because it would, like I said, I could see myself kind of looking at my collection one day and going, okay, that's all the toys I need. That's all the characters. I'm 87 years old. I don't know what to do with all this stuff now. But I'd probably still do the same thing with my fortune cookies. I'd be the last one to eat it, and I'd keep the fortune. And if I saw a key on the ground, I'd still pick it up. I think if you're a collector, you're a collector until you lose your sort of capacity, your mental capacity to be a collector.
So it just evolve into something else to collect.
Or devolve. I mean, it doesn't. whatever
Well,
direction it goes.
If you start collecting lint, then we'll have a conversation
Yeah,
about it.
when it's like, have I shown you my bottle caps and my buttons? And you're like, oh,
Yeah, exactly.
guys, he's lost it, but you'd still be collecting. So I think it's, it serves the same purpose. It doesn't matter what you're collecting. It doesn't matter, again, and this is sort of like when I say, like, I would never tell people how to collect or whatever. If you set, every collector is going to have different budgets and different means and different sort of capacity, different space and whatever. Sometimes I hear people that are like, oh, I don't collect X, Y, and Z because reasons A, B, and C. I'm like, would you if you could? Is that just.
Well, that's kind of why I included that magic question in here, is because I want people and guests and the people that are in the audience and whatever to kind of have that moment of, if everything that was hindering whatever I'm thinking of right now went away, how would I behave differently?
Sure. Yeah.
We use it in therapy. It's called the magic question. If all of your problems went away today, what would you do? And it's a good starting point for people to kind of see that transformative change. So, well, this is what I would do. Okay, well, what's stopping you now?
Yeah.
That's kind of why that question is there, and I kind of modified it for this, because I think it says a lot about us as collectors. Do we change up if those two things weren't a factor?
Yeah, for sure, and I get that. I can,
But I think it's being happy with what you have, being happy with it, the stuff that you're buying.
Well, and I mean, I think there's an aspect of like appreciating what you have. Like I said, like I could, potentially see like I could see a room in which all the characters that I want around me are here, and I could be done. Would I not be collecting? No, but I would not be collecting action figures, right?
Yeah.
I think a collector is a collector is a collector. I think it's just sort of it's in our nature in some way. I think that my younger self compared to now probably needed more therapy. I spent a lot of years very introspectively looking at sort of who I was and looking at who I was in high school, which is it's not a different person than who I am, but I react very differently to stimulus and to the world around me than I did when I was a skinny, insecure 15-year-old kid.
Well,
And
that's evolution. That's how we are normally. We change as we grow. At least we
yeah,
hope. If we're still the scared 15-year-old kid, then there's a problem.
if we're doing it right,
If we're doing it right, yeah,
then we grow. And
grow.
I think there are people that peak in high school and they kind of continue to live as they were at their peak, which is a little bit sad. But I was the opposite. After high school, I became very cognizant of the fact that was probably the worst experience that I would ever go through in my life, and so the future was bright. And
it's interesting that it's kind of that's very similar to mine. High school was just. I was not small though.
My nickname wasn't Pain.
I was built and accused of using steroids all the time because
yeah,
I was a big boy. I was not small.
I mean, I'm 5'11" and I'm fat for me now, and I'm 150 pounds. So you can imagine like 5'8" me.
Thin as a rail, right?
Yeah. Like 100 pounds, maybe, probably, when I was like a teenager. And into toys and comic books and stuff. Like I was, when you see the nerd get pushed, when you see the nerd on the beach getting sand kicked in his face, that was me. Yeah. So I just didn't go to the beach. I love the beach now because I've realized that's not how people really interact with each other. But
no, it's I think we have that programming that we were taught this is the way it was going to be, and it's not.
No, and I mean it wasn't.
High school, no one really gives a shit. Let's be honest.
We all bought into that because that's how everybody's kind of fulfilling a role in school. Yeah. We're all sort of trying to live up to the stereotype or the expectation of something that we've seen in media or something that's been sort of reflected to us or whatever, or our parents kind of tell us something. But I've kind of come through that, and that's I don't need this stuff. I love this stuff, and it brings me joy, which I know that you like. This stuff brings me joy, and doing these videos brings me joy, and chatting with people that are like-minded in terms of their hobbies. There's people that have very different life experiences than me that have sort of come to this place through a very different path, and it's fascinating to me to have conversations with people that really got here very differently than I did. So
yeah, that's why I do this. I wanted to have a different kind of conversation. Mm-hmm. It may not be all deep, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it goes a little deeper than it just depends on whether the person feels comfortable about talking about things and talking about themselves. Apparently, Mr. Wonderful has now started a hashtag called "Please Spoon Me." So
I bet that was already a hashtag.
Oh, okay. Well,
I doubt it's
going to be attached to every video, right? You're going to have "Please Spoon Me" in the hashtags. But usually when we get to the end here, I ask a very specific question. What did you find joy in today?
And I knew you were going to ask. And so all day I was kind of qualifying everything I was doing. This was going to be the thing.
There's different levels of joy. Is this a joy? Is this higher joy? I don't understand.
Yeah, no. I had a pretty I had a busy day that got derailed first thing this morning, and so most of my day did not bring me joy. But as I said, I did have a conversation with Jason today, and he sent me a few like pipeline 3D sculpt things, and I was like pretty excited about that.
You can see it on your face right now.
Oh man, I can't wait until people see some of the stuff that I've seen.
Yeah.
But then before we went live, my 1-year-old was in here, and just a couple giggles from him, and like a couple laughs from my kids when I get home, and like that's enough, man. Like that resets my whole day. And
it's amazing how that happens, right? It just takes that one moment of
it's
that
not
kid
for
just
everybody. Like I'll be very objective about this. Like I'm not saying that everybody should have kids.
no.
Because there's people that shouldn't have kids.
Oh yeah. Um,
but I mean I always knew I wanted to have kids, and I was gonna say they haven't disappointed. They disappoint me constantly, but having kids and sort of the very narcissistic idea of like raising up humans
yeah.
to sort of be proper humans is something that every day is like so much fun, and I just love it.
That's the one of the things is with my kids is I wanted to make sure that I raised them up to be good people first.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I didn't have that as a kid, so I had to learn how to be a good person before I could teach them
Mm-hmm.
some of the tricks and things that needed to be done to rewire your brain into that way. That it's one of those things that I do now consciously
Mm-hmm.
and subconsciously that I didn't used to do. I mean, I was not a good person for a long time. I
Oh,
had to
me too,
learn
man.
how to
Yeah,
be a
me
good
too.
person. My
Yeah.
daughter, she's 24 now. She pretty much changed that person who I was because I knew I had to be better for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful every day that my daughter came into my life because she changed who I was.
Yeah, I'm my eldest daughter is 7, and um she doesn't challenge me to be better, but I see like when I fail to sort of like impart some lesson to her,
Mhm.
it challenges me to look at, okay, did I go about that wrong?
Yeah,
Like is the lesson wrong? Is the method wrong? Is the message wrong? Like
yeah,
am I trying to get her to do something that like she won't need? That like, and it's the biggest challenge that I've ever had in my life, but it's the most fulfilling thing. I think it's the most fulfilling thing that you can do
yeah.
is to like raise
Good
humans
people.
to be good people.
Yeah, yeah. I like
It's
that.
crazy hard though.
Oh
It's
God.
not easy.
Yeah, no. After my, after
I fail more
my
than I
third one has
succeed.
been a challenge. He's nonverbal, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
highly aggressive, unfortunately, um, and can be a serious danger to himself. He is one that I had to do a different type of parenting with,
Yeah.
and it's not the kind that I want to be, but it's the kind that keeps him safe and keeps him happy for the most part. I mean, I don't regret him.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't trade him. You couldn't make me trade him. You know,
It's
after I got
it's
over that first initial mourning the child that I didn't get, which is normal for most autistic parents, we mourn the child that we didn't get. But once you get past that, he's an amazing kid.
Mhm.
He's one of the sweetest, most loving, wonderful child. He
Mhm.
just can strike fear in the hearts of many.
Well, it's yeah, and I mean it's again, not I'm not trying to compare my situation in any way, but the idea that like we don't like the idea that I don't really believe in regret, right? Like we
Mm,
don't always get what we want,
no,
but if we take from what we get the positives and build on that and grow with that, then you know there's so much potential for growth,
yeah.
and you can find joy in the weirdest things, which again is why like when people complain about toys, I'm like, what are you
It's
doing?
toys. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of when I finally decided to do this, and I sat down and I said, "This is who I was. This is still
Mhm.
who I am. I may not be doing it professionally anymore, but it's at the heart of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always about helping people and helping others and service to others. And I looked at the community as a whole and I saw this big gaping hole of where's the joy? Where's the
Mm-hmm.
people finding the joy? Okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have conversations with people. I'm going to show them stuff. I'm going to do things, and we're going to talk about what brings them joy in their collections. Why do they do this?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, what happens happens. And you kind of saw. I sent you the questions, and we kind of went through this. You got about a third of those questions asked, realistically. But there's a dynamic to this. There's an interesting. It's a conversation, and you were all worried. Hey, I'm going to come off with something, but you didn't.
No, before when you asked me to sort of come on, I was more concerned that like this might just go into like me ranting, like. But I mean, ultimately, that's just not who I am.
I think I ranted more than you did.
Maybe. I mean,
you stopped yourself. I honestly think you could have come back to it, and it would have been okay.
There is a part of me, I'm holding. There is a part of me that I hold back because, like I said, when I was younger, I didn't hold back at all, and I was just an asshole, and I was sarcastic and nasty, and as a short, skinny, very skinny, pretty unathletic kid, my best form of defense in my mind was to just create a barrier, and I just don't want to be that person anymore. And so it's I've been accused of being too positive. I've been accused of being a shill. I've been accused of all these things. The reality is, at the end of the day, like I just I am this person. I'm not.
At the end of the day, if you're talking about toys, it's toys. If they're not bringing you joy, if they're not making you happy, if they're not doing what they're intended to do, toys are intended to make you happy, even if it's temporarily, right?
I would struggle. This is what's weird to me. I would struggle to present clickbaity type content.
Yeah.
Like I would feel really uneasy and like awkward to do it that way.
Yeah.
And I would probably get more views. I would probably get more subs. I would get, I think I'm persuasive enough that I could sort of get to the numbers that I see some other people getting to, and it doesn't appeal to me in the slightest because I lived that life as a teenager, and it was sad and lonely, and what I realized was that if you're sort of projecting that publicly, at a certain point you're expected to be that person, even if it's a facade, and you can't come back from that.
It's exhausting. If you wanted to be somebody else, you can only be fake for so long before you're found out.
This is where we'll get into the berry therapy part of it. We've sort of taken a turn here where we're not talking about toys anymore. So let's just lean into it now. But I mean,
there's nothing wrong with being positive. There's nothing wrong with being genuine and authentic.
No, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with being.
And if they're authentic and they're authentically negative, that's fine. That's your thing.
Yeah,
but mean, that eventually wears on people.
And it wears.
It wears and comes off.
It wears on you. I think as a I kind of I got to the point where like that's who I was, right? Like because you can't fake it 24/7, and it not kind of
permeate into everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it sinks in, and it was really hard. Like it took years of me, like I said, being like very conscious of what I was saying and how I was saying it, and what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. Like I had to, part of the reason I've always been an introvert. And so, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to make friends. I'm not worried about that. But I had to basically distance myself from anybody that perceived me that way to hit the reset button. And I'm way happier to have hit that reset button and not have contact with anybody that I went to school with than I would be to just be that negative, sarcastic jerk.
Yeah.
At 40 years old. Like, there's no way that my wife would have married me from high school. Like, there's no way that she would have been like, yeah, I'll definitely agree to have kids with you and like spend the rest of my life with you. I would have been in unhappy relationship after unhappy relationship, and I would not be collecting toys, because I would have still lived in a world of sort of defensive negativity, and it was not productive. It was not conducive to happiness or joy.
Yeah, it can be consuming, and I think we make that trade-off where we decide that, is this worth it or not?
Mm-hmm.
And when it's not worth it anymore, you have to change.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like I said, when my daughter was born, I had to change. It wasn't an option. It wasn't, there's no other going back. Because if I was that person before she was born, that would have been bad.
Oh, you were like real bad, huh?
I was just a very pissed off, angry person that, I had a lot of unresolved trauma from my childhood. So that person and who I am today is diametrically opposed.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with somebody that I hadn't seen in a very, very long time, a couple of years ago now, and I expressed to them that I felt now as though I'd lived like different lives, like in my lifetime.
Yeah,
I've kind of had 3 lives. I had my life up until I graduated from high school. I had the number of years where I was kind of fixing that person.
Yeah.
And now I have like the life that I have that I love, that I just, I'm sort of unapologetically who I am, and don't really, for better or worse, I don't really care if people like me or not.
You get to that point,
right? Leave me.
You get to that point where it's like, take me or leave me. It doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly where I'm at. That's where I've been at for 20
I have that luxury as an introvert. I think if I was an extroverted person, it would be very hard to sort of go through.
You know what's weird is how many of us in this little thing we're all introverts. It's kind of like weird. It's like all of a sudden we're on YouTube and we're talking, we're doing all the things that are really extroverted things. So literally when I get off, it's like I have to go to sleep. It's all my energy, and of course my voice starts to go if I do it too many times.
Oh yeah, I'll probably say goodnight to my wife, and that'll be it. Like we
love you, honey. Yeah, no, it's interesting. It is interesting that we have that transformative power, and we have to choose it.
Well, that's it, right? Like it's growing and evolving and becoming better, becoming more positive, becoming more joyful is a choice that you have to make, and it's not an easy choice, and it's not the it's not the road of least resistance, which seems counterintuitive. Like, again, I feel like the sort of giving up the that path of just negativity and being dismissive and just not being constructive is easy. But it's a cop out because it doesn't. I can say that anything sucks and move on, and it's not a challenge, and I'm somebody that prefers a challenge.
Yeah. Well, it's just the way that I look at it, and it's kind of how I've changed in the last 25 years is I can be an asshole when I need to be.
Oh,
I can promise you he'll come out.
Like I said, when I engage on Facebook every once in a while, and I'm like, well, let me revert to being 16, you're dead, buddy. Like, this is.
So he comes out, and it usually involves somebody doing something to hurt somebody that I care about.
Oh,
then you're gonna find out who he is.
I still have the capacity, and that's the scary thing, is that, like, when I want to absolutely dismantle somebody's self-esteem, it takes me 2 comments.
Yeah.
Because they don't even know me, and if I like, I've typed out comments and then deleted them because I've been like, this is
not worth my time.
It's not fair. I mean, it's not. This is where that, when we look at the diagram again, the IQ thing, I have to look at the diagram and then sort of make assumptions about their diagram, and then I go, I don't think this is a fair fight. I shouldn't do this.
most of the time, anytime I used to do that. I used to engage with that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I got to the point where it was just, it's not worth the energy to involve myself in that. So now it's just block, unsubscribe, I'm out.
I don't block. I never block. I've never blocked anybody.
I unfollow, whatever you want to call it. I mean,
I don't. If somebody
I walk away from it. I don't need the negativity. I got enough in my life.
Well, that's where I don't like. If I engage, I have an exit strategy. Like, I feel I'm very good at diffusing a situation, even if I. Even if I stoke the flames, I come with a fire extinguisher. But I would never, sort of hypothetically, like, slam the door on someone's face. If I'm going to engage with somebody, I'll whatever you want to, come back with, I will engage with, and. Because I also enjoy, healthy.
There's nothing wrong with healthy discussions.
Yeah, when it devolves to name calling and stuff like that, that's when it gets really comical to me, and that's where I start enjoying it the most. Yeah. Because I don't engage in that, but I can play into that. Like I said, it's not a fair fight when people start doing that, because then I'll start. You can very quickly gauge what you're dealing with based on how quickly it devolves into name calling, and that's when I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm going to start leaning into because when people start name calling, they start showing what offends them, not what offends you.
Well, it's also they don't have any other points to argue with.
Well, they didn't have one to begin with, usually, because I typically don't argue a point that's like.
But they thought they had a point, and then they didn't have a point. So now they're calling a name, and that's how that scale starts to break down.
Absolutely.
So once you get to the name calling, it's just not worth the effort. It's just like, really, okay, have a nice night. That's what you do.
No, but that's the thing. You don't say have a nice night. You go to bed because they're waiting for the response. Yeah, and then you come back in the morning. It's psychological warfare.
If you want to do it, me, I would just say have a nice night and go and log off. You know, I'm
Like
that person. I'm gonna try to leave them with kindness because that's who I am.
yes.
Even if they're being dicks, I'm gonna be kind because
And
that's
and
where
I ultimately like it's when I'm done, I always sort of, lean into that. I always lean into, well, I guess your point is valid from your point of view, and mine is from mine, and so I don't think we're ever going to agree on this, and we'll and I'll let people have the last word. I've also gotten to the point where I
don't.
That's one of those. That's one of those
I would
things
call it
that,
almost a fetish level of thing. You have to have the last word. Okay.
I don't. I've realized that there's a strength in allowing somebody to sort of have the last word.
Yeah.
Because you choose to do it. Like it's a bigger flex to be like, you go ahead and finish. I won't react to your next comment.
Yeah.
Because they're going to.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be like, oh shoot, now what am I supposed to do? Because he's conceded that that I get the last call.
Yeah, they're not engaged.
I mean, like I said, I'm way smarter than most of the people that I end up arguing with, for better or worse. It just is what it is. And
well, at my age, I don't have time for all the drama, so it's for me. It's usually when the argument starts getting that way, it's just like I don't have time for your shit.
Yeah, you're never. Social media is never going to change anybody's mind. That's not how it works.
No.
That's not what it's intended for. Social media is intended for car wrecks. Going back to what we said a long time ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're predisposed to the negative stuff, and
we're hardwired for it because it provided a survival advantage at some point to pay attention to the negative stuff.
Yep.
I mean, there's lizard brain is still alive, still good, still working. Yeah. So we're never going to get rid of that as long as we're human beings. Now, post-human, we'll see. We're not quite to that level yet. But I appreciate you coming on, and we're done with questions, and you said what you found joy with today, and we will let these people get on with their evening, the 9 people that are here. I appreciate everybody coming in, chatting with us.
Half of them are probably already asleep in their chairs.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not riveting, so it's okay. I don't take it personally.
No, me neither.
But I appreciate you being here. And everyone, before I leave, I'm going to give you the assignment. And if you can be anything, be kind. Goodbye.